It's vintage coal tar.
Born to ride, Mustang 65, got that V8 engine with a fuel injection. Drop the clutch, pedal to the floor, turn that caper into a lion's roar. Dream machine, racing queen, I'll take you wherever you wanna go. Let's blow this town, break the speed of sound. Tonight we all know. Dream machine, racing queen, you make my heart beat. You make my heart beat. Dream machine, racing queen, you make my heart beat. You make my heart beat. Red on the highway, blue lights flashing behind me. Dream machine, racing queen, you make my heart beat. You make my heart beat. Dream machine, racing queen, you make my heart beat. You make my heart beat. Dream machine, racing queen, you make my heart beat. You make my heart beat. Red on the highway, blue lights flashing behind me. Dream machine, racing queen, you make my heart beat. You make my heart beat.
Oh my goodness, this was the first Monday Night Raw coming out of Money in the Bank this weekend. It was a loaded show on paper, and coming out of it, I think this was my favorite Raw of the entire year. It may have been the best Raw of the entire year. If it wasn't the best, it was probably my favorite. Not 1 second was I bored tonight. For the first time, actually, in a very long time, I was actually looking forward to Raw going into the show, which is not to say that there haven't been good Raw episodes, but just going into the show, I actually found myself excited to see what was going to happen tonight, because we had, first of all, we had a great crowd in Phoenix, okay? Kudos to the crowd in Phoenix. They were fucking awesome tonight. But we're coming off a Money in the Bank show where Jey Uso was defending the World Heavyweight Championship in the main event tonight against Gunther. They announced this match many, many weeks ago, so we knew there wasn't going to be a World Heavyweight title match at the PLE. They were saving it for tonight. And I thought, well, it's a little odd, but maybe they're saving it for tonight for a specific reason. Maybe we are going to get an attempted cash-in. Maybe they want Money in the Bank to go by, and whoever wins Money in the Bank, which turned out to be Seth Rollins, would cash in his briefcase at the end of the night tonight. Might we get a cash-in? Might we get a failed cash-in? Or even, maybe not even failed, but an attempted cash-in foiled by, oh, I don't know, the returning Roman Reigns, or CM Punk, or Roman Reigns and CM Punk, who both have a bone to pick with Seth Rollins. All right, I was thinking maybe that's what we're in for tonight. I have not been able to wrap my head around what the finish for this match was going to be. Because the one thing I absolutely did not want to see was Gunther go in there and just lose clean again. as he did at WrestleMania to Jey Uso, the Yeet Man. I didn't want to see him go in there and, tap out again to the sleeper. That would have been awful. But I also just didn't think Gunther was going to win the World Championship back, so I was kind of stuck with what they were going to do for a finish. As it turned out, they did the one thing that I thought they were not going to do. They shocked me with the finish of this main event tonight because, in fact, Gunther is once again the World Heavyweight Champion, and the reign of the Yeet Man has come to an end. My God, the Rikishi rant tomorrow is going to be biblical. This is going to be something else. Jey Uso walks out there tonight down the concourse with his son, yeeting with all the little kids. And he goes in there and they gave him an out because he had the bad ribs. Going back to last week when he was attacked by Rollins and Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, I think he took a tsunami splash. And then at Money in the Bank, even before Money in the Bank on SmackDown last week, right? He and Cody, all right, took a beating from Logan Paul and John Cena, so we had that as well. And then Money in the Bank. And he took that moonsault off the top rope from Logan Paul, crashing through the announce desk, this hellacious spot. He came in with his ribs all taped up, old school, and that was the focus of the match. And it just never occurred to me that they were actually not only going to take the title off Jey Uso tonight, but that they would do it clean in the middle of the ring. And I love it. I love it. I was expecting bullshit. I was expecting shenanigans. I was expecting Seth Rollins. I was expecting possibly fucking, Goldberg to come out and spook us all. I didn't know what was going to happen. But in the end, they gave us a clean finish. Jey Uso, he just couldn't get the job done. He could not get the job done. This is a man who went in there and lost 3 straight times to Gunther going back to last year. And he only won at WrestleMania. That was his first win over Gunther at WrestleMania. But he went right back to the same Jey Uso he was before, where he could not get the job done. And he was protected by the bad ribs. This is not the end of Jey Uso, but it's the end of Jey Uso as the World Heavyweight Champion for the time being. Jey Uso had a lot of momentum going into WrestleMania. Jey Uso hit on something with this yeet stuff, and they love the visual of the reaction when he comes out in the entire building and all the little kids are going up and down. Michael Cole is bobbing up and down. Everybody's having a good old time. But the reality is we all knew after he won the championship at WrestleMania that this wasn't going to last very long. I gave him until SummerSlam at the absolute latest before that world title came off his waist. And they took it away from him even earlier than I thought. But you can't say that you're surprised that he had such a short run with the championship. At least now he can say he was a world heavyweight champion. But his run has come to an end. The belt has found its way back around the waist of Gunther. That is how they went off the air tonight on Raw. The King has taken his rightful place back on the throne for a second time. And so now I wonder, I say, where do we go from here? We're going into SummerSlam, beginning of August. He just won the championship back. I don't know what he's going to be doing at Night of Champions at the end of the month. It almost doesn't even matter because he's at least making it to SummerSlam with the championship. And then I notice also that in the King of the Ring tournament this year, and I will show you the brackets. We're going to go through all of this. We have a lot to get into here, but I will show you visually what the brackets look like and who won their matches tonight on the men's side and the women's side. But there is one person who won his match tonight who very well may go on to win King of the Ring, and his name is Sami Zayn. And I think that based on what we saw at the end of the show tonight, his chances of walking out of Saudi Arabia, because that's where the finals are going to be, just went up exponentially. I think I see the vision. I could be way off here. There are people who think that Seth Rollins is going to cash in, maybe for the WWE Championship, and I find that hard to believe. It's possible. I could be way off here, but I think I see the vision. And I think that vision involves Gunther, and I think it involves Sami Zayn. I think it involves SummerSlam and a longer-term story that very much is going to possibly mirror the story they told in 2013 with Daniel Bryan. I think that is what we may be in for. And if we are, I can get behind that story. This may actually be the Sami Zayn story, not the Jey Uso story or the Seth Rollins story or the Gunther story. This may all end up being about Sami Zayn. And I'll get into all that as we go along here. So to me, a very shocking finish to the show tonight, but in a good way. And then we had the other big announcement of the night, because I mentioned, the WWE Championship, which is currently held by John Cena. John Cena was on Raw tonight, a rare Raw appearance because we haven't seen him on Raw in a little bit. And he went face-to-face with CM Punk. We got our first real face-off between Cena and Punk for the first time in many, many years. Punk cut that promo on him and that bald fraud, The Rock, after what happened at Elimination Chamber, and we haven't really gotten back to that since then. What came out of their segment tonight is a major match that has since been made official. At the end of this month, in only a few weeks, in Saudi Arabia, John Cena will defend the WWE Championship against CM Punk. So we will talk about what they had to say to each other in that segment and what I think of that announcement. That was a big deal tonight. We had Ron Killings, going by that name now. R-Truth is dead. Long live Ron Killings. He showed up at Money in the Bank. That was a big surprise. Seeing him come out, attack John Cena in the main event, help Cody and Jey Uso win their match. He was on the show tonight. He had some words as well, and also did something that was pretty shocking. We'll talk about what he had to say. We have King and Queen of the Ring brackets to talk about. LA Knight was on the show tonight. I don't know what his future looks like, but at least he was on the show, so it shows they must have some idea for him. I don't have a lot of faith coming out of Money in the Bank at a third straight year of him losing, but he did make an appearance tonight as well. Bayley is back. We have not seen her since before WrestleMania when she got taken out. We found out later on by Becky Lynch. It was only a matter of time before she resurfaced and went after Becky. So we had Bayley back on the show tonight. Nikki Bella. Talk about random. It was announced the other day that Nikki Bella would be appearing on Raw. We have not seen Nikki Bella since the Royal Rumble at the beginning of the year. She has an apparent program, an apparent match for the all-women's Evolution show coming up next month. They did a heavy tease for what her match is likely going to be on that show. Overall, I thought this was an excellent, very enjoyable episode of Raw. One of the things I look for in this show, 2.5 hours every single week, give me a show that can hold my attention from start to finish. Give me a show that feels like there are things going on. And give me a few really good matches in between. And that's what we had tonight. I thought that both King of the Ring first round matches tonight were very good. The men's match I thought was excellent. The main event, even with Gunther and Jey, it was slow in parts, but I thought, towards the end, and there were a lot of, he goes for a sleeper and then he reverses, and there were probably 15 different sleeper attempts in this match. So you saw a lot of the same moves over and over again. But I just thought in terms of building drama in the match and then that shocking finish, I even liked the main event. Now, it wasn't the best match in the world or anything like that, but I think they checked all the boxes that I look for when I watched this show. And when it was over, it felt like, man, that was a very newsworthy, very eventful, very fun, top to bottom episode of Raw. So, again, maybe the best of the year. One woman who will not be at Evolution, and I think we already kind of assumed that this was going to be the case, but Zoe Stark, of course, she got hurt many weeks ago. It was a Money in the Bank qualifying match and severely injured her knee. And we have not had any updates since then, other than she was going to be out for quite a long time. Zoe posted a very short 30-second video, almost like a teaser video, explaining exactly what the injury is. So now we know. Zoe Stark has confirmed that she had surgery to repair a torn ACL, MCL, and meniscus. So, as I feared, it turned out to be the terrible triad, which is not a very fun thing to go through. Some other wrestlers on the roster have gone through that. Charlotte Flair, I think, had the same injury. So she's going to be out for a very long time. So all the best to Zoe Stark, but this is the first that she's actually come out and confirmed what the injury is. This is your Raw on Netflix review. I am the Solomonster. It is Monday night. It is June 9th, 2025. Thank you for hanging out with me here yet again on a Monday night. We just hit 87,000 subscribers last week. We're rolling on towards 88. The only way I get there is if you hit that subscribe button and tell other people to subscribe to the channel. So go ahead and do that. Hit that like button as well. That would be very helpful to me. Super chats are open. I saw we had a big one pop up during the intro. Shout out to Fire Panda, who I know is with us tonight with that coal tar, right? That $51 super chat. Thank you, Fire Panda, and Dark Effect too. If Dark Effect is still here with us, gifting 10 channel memberships, which is awesome. I love to see that. So Dark Effect, thank you very much. I also just wanted to mention this because I did not go live for Money in the Bank. I was away this weekend. I had other obligations with House of Glory, but I did do a full review for Money in the Bank on yesterday's podcast, episode 916 of The Sound Off. So my full thoughts on that show and the return of R-Truth. Everyone's talking about work or shoot or work or shoot. Gives a shit. He's back. It's all that matters. He's back. They fucked up. They realized they fucked up and they did the right thing and they brought the man back. And we got a really good promo out of it tonight as well. Anyway, the full review is up on the channel as well as my review for Worlds Collide, which I actually thought was a better show than Money in the Bank. So go hit that up on the channel when you're done here with this review tonight. Okay, so Raw tonight. Pat McAfee not in the house. They didn't say why, but he was off. So Wade Barrett joined Michael Cole on commentary. The first person we saw coming out of Money in the Bank was the WWE champion. I have to just, every time I see that Triple H statue from the Hall of Fame, I mean, it is the stuff of nightmares in that super chat. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know who made that. I don't know who put that together. Oh my God. I mean, that you could build a whole horror movie out of that. Oh my God. Anyway, as I said, the first person that we saw here on this show coming out of Money in the Bank was the WWE champion, making a rare appearance here on Raw. He's been on SmackDown lately. John Cena. It was purple gear tonight. In case you're keeping track, he's worn, I think, white and blue. He's worn red. Tonight he was in the purple gear. Hey, Scumdog, what's going on, Scumdog? I see you. I see you in the chat. I love, by the way, how heel John Cena, if you'll notice on his gear, still has Rise Above Hate on his gear. When all he does every single time he comes out on TV is hate. He hates on the fans, but it still says Rise Above Hate on his shirts. So what we taught him, he said, we the fans at Money in the Bank, is truth is a lie. Because we wasted our breath and our energy saving a sideshow comedian whose biggest achievement was being him. And we thought we did something good. So the fans chanted, "We want truth." We are all spineless keyboard warriors, he said. We are ignorant armchair activists, and we do not have any real power to change anything. There's a sameness to all of Cena's promos, by the way. One of the reasons why this heel turn has fallen so flat so far. He says, R-Truth is a gimmick that we will spit out and not care about in a year. R-Truth, you'll never use John Cena for any of your garbage pity parties ever again. This is his farewell tour. He has limited time. 36 dates is what we started with. And we were down to 27 as of the Raw after WrestleMania. And he counted down each city that he's visited since to the chants of what from the crowd. Says, don't use your voices to send him the class clown, he said. He also pointed out he's down to 19 dates. He's eating up dates. As we get closer to the end here, it's gonna really set in. Like this is the beginning of the end. So the question then becomes like, how long do they have him holding this championship? Are they really gonna have him hold this title until the end of the year? Does he drop it? Does he drop it to Punk and Saudi? Does he drop? Which I mean, possible, I suppose, but. SummerSlam seems likely. We don't know. We don't know how long they're going to keep that championship on him for, but right now we're down to 19. I think it might be 18 dates after tonight. But don't use your voices to send him the class clown. Use your voice to send him competition. Because everyone we have cheered for, from R-Truth to Cody Rhodes to Randy Orton, he has shut our mouths and he has beaten our best. And at this point in the segment, He was interrupted by Cult of Personality, a very familiar foe in CM Punk. CM Punk was on Raw tonight. CM Punk couldn't be bothered, apparently, to ruin Seth Rollins' night on Saturday at Money in the Bank. You would think he would be so angry over what Rollins and his crew have done to him recently. Basically cost him a spot in that match, but evidently he didn't care enough to do anything about it. But here he is, and he comes down to the ring. He's wearing his Ramones shirt, which I think is the same shirt he wore when he did the interview with Ariel Helwani. Was that last year? This right here, coming into it, I said, when I saw these two in the ring, I said, this right here has the potential to be great. Because these two are usually just magic when they're together. There's just something about these two. And I always said, like, to me, people have asked sometimes, like in mailbag questions on the show, who do you think is John Cena's greatest foe? And it's like the people who ask me, who do you think is Undertaker's greatest foe? And they get, some people, not everybody, but some people get upset when I don't say Kane. Because they think, oh, it's Kane, right? Or it's Shawn Michaels. I'm like, no, it's Mankind. With John Cena, some people will disagree or get upset that I don't say Randy Orton. Because they think, oh, it's got to be Randy Orton, right? Or it's got to be Edge. No, to me, it's CM Punk. Punk is Cena's greatest rival. And a big part of why is because they're just two polar opposites. And in this case, opposites do attract. John Cena represented everything that a CM Punk fan hates or hated about WWE. And as they talked about here in this promo, like Cena was the establishment. He was the chosen one. He was the face of the franchise. He was the guy they could put on the cups and the posters and they can prance around and do media and all that stuff and be for the kids. And Punk was anti-establishment. And he walked around, he had tattoos all over his body, and the two of them didn't look alike at all. Cena's all jacked up and clean cut. And that's, I think, what made it work, because they were two totally different personalities. And they just brought the best out of each other. And I still feel that way, that out of all the rivals he ever had, it's CM Punk. That's his greatest foe. So I thought this had the potential to be great. Punk asked him if he was comfortable. He wants him to be comfortable, because he has a lot to get off his chest, and he's prepared to do it with his fists if he has to. But one way or another, Cena's going to listen to everything he has to say right now. He says it's ironic. Cena stands here, strapped up, the cowboy. I mean, we know Punk doesn't really like cowboys. The cowboy, the Boy Scout, saying he's going to ruin wrestling, ruin the establishment that made him who he is. And CM Punk, the punk rock kid from Chicago, seemingly defending the establishment. The more things change, he said, the more they stay the shame. The more they stay the same, for shame, yes. He's not defending the establishment. He's not here to defend TKO. He's not here to defend the billionaires. He's here to defend the people. Is John mad because the establishment picked him and not the fans? The fans picked Punk in 2011 to be the voice of the voiceless. And as for his competition, he wants the best. He got the best. Cody is the best that they've got. And when Punk said that Cody is the best that they have, there were audible boos from the crowd. It was not a universal, like, yay, he's the best. Like, no, it was definitely a mixed reaction here from the crowd, which could be problematic. We'll see as time goes on. He said he's not here to kiss his final boss's ass like Cena. Punk is here to remind him that the people are his boss. He gives them what they want, and if they want the truth, they're going to get Ron killings. They're all spokes on a wheel. That's what he said once before, and he's here to remind John Cena that he's just a spoke on the wheel too. And it starts with him taking that title off of Cena's shoulder. At Elimination Chamber, he felt it. And then he got his head stomped in by Seth Rollins, and Cena took advantage. And then he said, I'm sorry. And he said, Cena said, I'm sorry, because he knows what he's doing now is not right. He knows what he's doing now is wrong. And that prompted chants of, you sold out, here from the crowd. When he takes that title, Cena's going to spend the rest of his dates apologizing to all these people for the man that he's become. That title, and he gave Cena a shove. That title has corrupted him, just like it did to him many years ago. And when Punk came back, taking that title wasn't one of his goals because he's afraid of the monster that it would turn him into. But now he sees that he has to become a monster to stop the monster. To him, the title belongs to the people. It's not about power. It's not about control. By his count, after tonight, Cena has 18 dates left. He'll leave it up to John Cena which date he takes that title away from him. And if he's a man, if he's more Boston Red Sox than New York Yankees, he'll say that date is right here tonight in Phoenix. As though we were going to get 2 championship matches instead of 1 here on this show. So, of course, the fans love that. They chanted yes. They wanted to see this match tonight. Cena said, John Cena, CM Punk, one final time, one final match. The best in the world against the greatest of all time. For the undisputed WWE Championship, let's do it. And everybody cheered, and apparently everybody forgot what John Cena said at the beginning of all this months ago when he said, you get nothing. They thought he was going to give them a championship match tonight because they're fools. So as they cheered, he said, not tonight. And then the cheers turned to boos. A match like this, Punk's going to follow him to Saudi Arabia. And they can do it at Night of Champions. What do you say? Then we heard Seth Rollins' music, and he walked out on stage with Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and his Money in the Bank briefcase that he won on Saturday. He held the briefcase up, and that was it. He said nothing. Actually, Seth Rollins didn't do anything tonight. That's the biggest thing he did all night. There was this, and there was a very brief backstage segment. And otherwise, we did not see or really even hear from that crew. They didn't do anything else tonight. Nothing of note. But there it is. Their first singles match since that great match they had on Raw back in 2013. That was a number 1 contenders match to see who was going to wrestle for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania that year. That's the famous pile driver match on Raw between John Cena and CM Punk. That was the last time that they went one-on-one in a match. Since then, they were in the Royal Rumble together, I believe. They were in the Elimination Chamber briefly this year. But that's it. We have not had a one-on-one match between them in a very long time. And they always had... I think it's fair to say that pretty much all of their matches were at least good. Some of their matches were much better than some of the other ones. Their Money in the Bank 2011 match is far and away their best. When you take everything about it into account, I mean, that's a legendary match. That match on Raw in 2013 may well be number 2. Because I know they had a few other pay-per-view matches at SummerSlam and I think one other show. Maybe a Raw match. But I really wish they would have saved this match for SummerSlam. Because it just feels so much bigger than Night of Champions. It's confirmed now, so it wasn't like some kind of swerve. It is happening at Night of Champions, June 28th, in Saudi. It's going to be in Riyadh at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because it's an afternoon show, at least here on the East Coast. And this just feels bigger than that. I mean, there was talk that maybe they would do it on Saturday night's main event. And I will say this. I would rather have that match probably at Night of Champions than I would on Saturday night's main event for one very specific reason. No commercial breaks. The thought of having to watch that match, especially when you think of the last Saturday night's main event they just did, and there were a lot of complaints about the frequency of the commercials on that show, it just butchers matches. So I would rather have it at Night of Champions than I would on that show. But ideally, it would have been one of the headline matches at SummerSlam at MetLife. So I'm a little, disappointed in that. But then, if they did it at SummerSlam, the issue then is that Punk would have had to have been in King of the Ring. And he would have to win King of the Ring and then challenge for that championship. But even that doesn't work because John Cena, I think John Cena is technically a SmackDown guy because he's got the SmackDown title. And they made it very clear that the winner of the King and Queen of the Ring will meet the top champion of their respective brand. It's not like Money in the Bank or the Royal Rumble where you can choose, who you want to challenge for the championship. So it wouldn't have worked, just given the way they've laid things out. But in a perfect world, it would have been one of the SummerSlam matches this year. There are going to be, and there probably already have been, I'm sure. I've seen some of it. On social media, a lot of laughs at the expense of CM Punk, because he is, for the first time, going to travel to Saudi Arabia for a WWE show after the comments that he made all those many years ago. And what he said to The Miz that time on Twitter about, why don't you go eat a blood-covered dick in Saudi Arabia, over a very innocent jab that Miz took at him on that old Fox Sports show that they had. It was definitely an overreaction to what Miz had to say, and they've made up since then, and that was many years ago. But it's fair to call him a hypocrite. You know, if you want to call CM Punk a hypocrite for working a Saudi Arabia show after the comments he made, I think that that's perfectly fair. But I also think you need to understand something. When CM Punk came back to WWE at the end of 2023 and he signed with them, he signed on to work Saudi Arabia shows. I'm not saying it was in his contract, but it had to be understood. They do multiple shows a year from that location. You're not gonna be able to, as they do more of these bigger events in Saudi. It's not like, oh, we're just doing the greatest Royal Rumble. We're doing Crown Jewel and that's it. Like, dude, they're doing the Royal Rumble, which is, I would argue, bigger than SummerSlam to me anyway. The second biggest, if not second, third biggest event they have on the calendar. They're doing the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia in January. Do you really think CM Punk is going to sit out the Royal Rumble? Do you honestly believe that they're not going to run a WrestleMania there within the next 5 years? So if Punk is still wrestling at that time, you mean to tell me he's going to sit out WrestleMania? If they run Saudi for WrestleMania? Of course not. The minute he signed to come back to WWE, he was basically committing himself to working shows in Saudi Arabia. That's it. So I don't really see why this would be too much of a big shock. It was pretty much, I think, a done deal the minute he signed on the dotted line. The other thing about this segment that I liked, I actually thought it was a genius heel move, if they intended it this way, for John Cena to force CM Punk to have to work a match in Saudi at Night of Champions if he wanted a shot at that championship. Because Punk said, look, I'll leave it up to you, champ. You let me know the time and place that I take that championship from you. And he teased doing it tonight. And Cena was like, actually, you want a shot at this title? You're going to have to follow me all the way to Saudi Arabia. And if you want this title that badly, you'll have to wrestle me there. So, like, playing off the comments that he's made before. I don't know if that was the intent behind it. I would find it hard to believe if it wasn't. As a heel move, I actually thought that was very clever on their part. But I also want to point out something. I got an email during the show from one of my listeners who occasionally emails me. He lives over in Riyadh. So I want to give a shout out to Sultan. He sent me an email, and this is what he said. He said, a very interesting thing just happened. After the Punk tweets many years ago about Saudi, there's a split opinion about him here. Some fans think he was out of line and should be banned from our shows, while the majority think that we should just split between the person and the wrestler, respect his beliefs, and enjoy the show. After they announced the match tonight, and I mean not even 5 minutes have gone by, all the tickets and resold tickets were sold. And it's 3 o'clock in the morning here. The show is in a bigger arena than usual, and it's fucking sold out 18 days before the date just because of a promo on Raw. Talk about a draw. Because that was the headline of the email, is what a draw CM Punk is. So, according to him, it sounds like the show may be sold out. And just based on that one promo and that one announcement, there's a lot of interest in seeing CM Punk wrestling over there against John Cena. So, it is a big match. I'm glad we're getting it. I just feel like it's a match that should have been on a bigger stage. But I would rather it be here than be on Saturday night's main event, if you gave me the choice. So there was no follow-up on this show involving Punk and Rollins. It looks like we're just moving on from that. And they could always revisit it. It's not as if they can't circle back around to it. But for the time being, at least, they are moving away from the CM Punk Seth Rollins stuff. And there was no Roman Reigns on the show tonight. I fully expect that he will be back in time for SummerSlam. He may well be wrestling Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. You know, still have the briefcase, but they could do a match between Roman and Seth. If you ask me right now, and we're still a couple months out, but if you ask me right now, what do I think the plan is for Roman? What do I think the plan is for Seth at SummerSlam? It could be a one-on-one match. As things stand, that to me would be the most likely scenario. We had AJ Styles one-on-one against Chad Gable. We're rocking and rolling here. We got almost 2,000 people, and we're still just getting started here. We got a lot of meat left on the bone to get into here with this show.
It's the amazing Gunther.
Oh man, I said meat and Gunther showed up.
Lawler loves Gunther, the magnificent.
All that meat.
All hail Gunther.
As soon as I said meat, look who shows up. You know, that's the one I want to see because he won the world championship back tonight. Hopefully that's not the last time we see Gunther. If ever there was a night for Gunther, tonight is that night. Was that Aaron? Thank you, Aaron. That was a $50 bomb from Aaron. I love it. We had AJ Styles, though, one-on-one against Chad Gable. Chad Gable had a very busy weekend. Yes, he did. He had a match at Worlds Collide, Money in the Bank, or at least the guy at Money in the Bank. He looked a lot like Chad Gable under that mask. I have to say I love all the TV time because a lot is going to be said about, oh, he always loses. I'm one of those people, right? I wish he would start winning some matches. I have to give praise, though, to all of the television time that Gable has been getting of late. And this weekend was kind of the peak of it all because he was involved in both shows. We could gripe about him not winning and the way that he's booked. Some people may think the Americano stuff is goofy. There's a lot of people that don't like it, or they wish it would just end. Like, can we just move on beyond the El Grande Americano stuff? But he has been all over these shows lately. He's been getting a lot of television time, and that's a good thing. I'm happy to see that. But I did say this in my review this weekend. His match with Vikingo at Worlds Collide, that was the match of the weekend. That was an excellent match. And I said I like Worlds Collide better than Money in the Bank, and that match was a big part of why. This here was not the first singles match between AJ Styles and Chad Gable. Now, last week, El Grande Americano pinned Styles. They had that triple threat qualifier for Money in the Bank, and he pinned AJ in that match. But singles-wise, these two wrestled on SmackDown back in 2017. I'm guessing that was during the Shorty G era. For poor Chad Gable. We try not to think about that. And then on Raw 3 years ago, they had a match. So this would have been their third. Gable delivered a German suplex that took AJ all the way over, and he landed right on top of his head and his shoulder. Gable followed with a top rope headbutt for a near fall only. Then he headed back up again. Styles, though, cut him off and then powerbombed him. He tried for the Styles Clash, but Brutus Creed, because the Creed brothers were out there, Brutus distracted the referee, and Julius Creed pulled Gable out to safety. So AJ, he took out Julius, and then he took out Brutus, and then he set up for the phenomenal forearm, but Gable picked his leg from the top rope. So as he was mid-flight, he did the springboard, and he's standing on the top rope, and Gable just grabbed his leg and reached up and snatched it and took him down for an ankle lock. AJ tried to create some separation. Gable, though, held on like Kurt Angle used to do. He would not let go. AJ reversed out of it. He hit a quick Styles Clash and got the win. Just like that, out of nowhere. Wade Barrett called it a flash clash. That's what it was. It was a flash pin off of a very quick Styles Clash, and it was a little scary because it all happened so fast. AJ got him in position for the move, and then he just very quickly fell forward. If you've ever seen AJ hit the Styles Clash, you know the movement and how he usually does it. In this case, he actually took a step backwards and then just kind of went flat with him. And so if Gable wasn't prepared for it, because it happened so quickly, it's possible that maybe he was, first getting himself set up for it. And he did because he's a professional and, he knows what he's doing, but all it takes is that one split second. If he wasn't ready, AJ went down so fast, that could have ended badly. But it was a win for AJ. We talk about Chad Gable. Let's be honest. AJ Styles, he's probably won more matches than Chad has in the last 6 months, but it's not like he's picking up wins every single week either. So it was a win for AJ, yet another loss for Gable. This is the gimmick now. Chad Gable can't win a match. To win a match, he has to put the mask on, the loaded mask, and become El Grande Americano. And then he wins all of his matches. Now, he didn't win Money in the Bank, but he pretty much wins all of his other matches. You know, every time he puts that mask on, that's the gimmick. But at some point, you know, we need to start seeing Gable, Chad Gable, winning matches here on this show. And I know I sound like a broken record with that, but this guy, he's just too good. He's too good to be on the job squad for too long. It's been long enough, frankly. It's been years of this shit. But to be doing that for the rest of his career would be ridiculous. Once the Americano stuff finally runs its course and comes to an end, let's get this man some wins. Please and thank you. We had a first round match in the Queen of the Ring tournament. They're doing fatal four ways for all of these. This one had Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Roxanne Perez, and Kairi Sane. In the back at Gorilla before the match, Liv Morgan was warming up. And Roxanne showed up and tried to talk to her. Basically, she was making the pitch like, you know, we should work together here in this match. And Liv didn't want to have any of it because she doesn't like Roxanne. She doesn't trust her. She doesn't like her. She doesn't like her being around Dom. She doesn't like him bringing him chicken nuggets. She doesn't like any of it. So Liv said she would beat Roxanne. She would win the tournament and take back her championship. And Roxanne pitched, again, working together for the good of the Judgment Day, and Liv told her, stay out of my way. So Roxanne offered a handshake and said, may the best woman win. And Liv said, I will. And off to the ring she went. So now what I want to do here is, I told you I got the brackets for the King and Queen of the Ring. Let's start with Queen of the Ring, since we're talking about the women's match here. Here is the bracket for this year's Queen of the Ring tournament. Again, the finals will take place in Saudi at Night of Champions. And you see on the left side of the bracket, again, these are four ways. So really what you're looking at here are four different matches. So top left is what we got here tonight. Down on the bottom on the SmackDown side, I assume this one will take place on Friday. Unless they mix it up and they do the one in the upper right-hand corner. But we have on the same side of the bracket, Jade Cargill, Michin, Piper Niven, and Nia Jax are going to be in another first round match. On the other side of the bracket, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Chelsea Green, and Candice LeRae. And then the other Raw first round match will have, yes, Asuka. This is how they announced Asuka's return, by the way. They threw this graphic up on the screen. It's like, oh shit, Asuka's back. Now they did at least give her a video package later on in the show. So it's not like they completely just glossed over her. But that's a pretty big fucking deal. I mean, Asuka, this will be her first match in over a year. I mean, they've basically just forgotten about her. There's been no mention of her. And so they put the graphic up and they're like, oh, boom, there she is. So in that match, we have Asuka. We have Stephanie Vicaire. So they're going to be wrestling in the same match. Raquel Rodriguez and Ivy Niles. So basically, it's either Asuka or Vicaire. And it's tough because Stephanie really should move on in this tournament. I mean, Stephanie could win the whole damn thing. But this is Asuka's first match in over a year. So, I mean, it's kind of tough here to make a prediction about who you think is going to go over, who should go over. But seeing them in the same match is going to be pretty cool. So anyway, this is what the bracket looks like. Let's come back here. We have this match. Liv reluctantly did work together a little bit here in this match with Roxanne. But as they set up for a double superplex on Kairi, Rhea got underneath them and hit them both with a double power bomb. Kairi followed with a flying forearm on Rhea for a 2 count. Liv and Raquel, or Liv and Roxanne, wrong R, they worked together a little bit more. They regained control. Morgan hit Kairi with a backstabber, which is a move that she does, I think, in pretty much all of her matches. And for some reason on commentary, Michael Cole said that was an homage to Carlito. Okay, sure thing. By the way, were all these people who said that the truth thing was all just the work, that they worked us with all this contract renewal, non-renewal stuff? I mean, all these people, I was expecting Carlito to be on Raw tonight. Where was Carlito? You mean to tell me that one was a work and one was a shoot? Like, I don't know. You haven't gotten your story straight. Where was Carlito? Where was Valhalla, who also got told that her contract wasn't being renewed? I haven't heard from any of these people today. So Rhea wiped out everybody. Liv tried to catch her off guard with Oblivion, but Ripley caught her and hit a Riptide. So she had the match won. She covered her. Raquel Rodriguez, though, she appeared out of nowhere. She pulled Rhea out of the ring to break up the pin. So as Rhea and Raquel now are fighting on the outside, Kairi comes off the top rope and wipes them both out with a diving insane elbow off the top. Kairi followed with an insane elbow on Liv Morgan back inside and seemingly had the match won. But Roxanne Perez catches Kairi in a jackknife pin for the flash pin to win and to advance to the semifinal round of this tournament. Now you see why they do these four-way matches. They did this shit with the Money in the Bank as well. There it was a bunch of triple threat matches. And here it's a bunch of fatal four-ways. Why do they do it? This is Exhibit A. Because they want to protect people like Rhea Ripley. They want to protect the big names from having to take a loss. So it's a lot easier to have a Kairi Sane. Or you look at the bracket, you see like Ivy Nile is in there and people like that. Who do you think is going to be the one to eat the pin in most of these matches? It's the people that normally would be beaten and do jobs. They're only doing it to protect the bigger names because they're terrified. Oh my God, we can't pin this person. We can't beat that person. Like, oh my God, that's the end. That's the end of their career if they get beat. Give me a fucking break. But that's why they do it. So this was an enjoyable match, and Roxanne winning was the right call. I think she was absolutely the right pick here. I've been very impressed by Roxanne Perez. It's not like I didn't see her in NXT. I mean, she was impressive there as well. She had a long title run. But since being involved in main roster activity, she didn't really get her official call up until a few weeks ago. But she was in the Royal Rumble. I think she set the time record for the Women's Rumble this year. She was in there for like over an hour. She was impressive there. She was impressive in the Elimination Chamber. She has really, I think, knocked it out of the park in every situation, every opportunity that they've given her. And she's the new person that they're trying to get over, you know, with this Judgment Day story. Because this also plays into the story with Liv Morgan. So there's a storyline reason for her to win and for Liv to lose. So she was absolutely the right choice here. But we go take a look at this graphic one more time. So Roxanne moves on to the semifinal round. That means she's going to meet the winner of the match between Jade, Michin, Piper, and Nia Jax. So I think it's safe to say she's probably going to be taking on Jade Cargill in the next round of this tournament. Because Piper Niven ain't going on to the next round. Nia Jax could, but then you're doing heel against heel, which you could do it. I don't see them doing it. And I'm sorry, but Roxanne Perez against Michin should not be a semifinal match in the Queen of the Ring tournament. I'm sorry. So we're probably getting Jade and Roxanne in the next round. We got a Nikki Bella return video package. And they come back live and we see her in the back and she is hugging Natalya and she is hugging Maxine Dupree and they're so happy to see her and she's so happy to be back. So then Natty and Maxine walk off and Nikki goes on her way. And Nikki then goes over to introduce herself to the Women's World Champion Io Sky, who is just absolutely giddy to meet Nikki Bella here for the very first time. And she says that, and this is what they had Io say. They had Io Sky say that Nikki Bella paved the way for them. You paved the way for us. Thank you. They had Io Sky marking out here over Nikki Bella. WWE Hall of Famer, Nikki Bella. I died a little on the inside. So after this, it was out to the ring with the brand new Women's Intercontinental Champion, Becky Lynch. And she asked, where are all the chants of "you deserve it" when I came out here? She should be out here celebrating because there are so few opportunities for her to celebrate anything new at this point. She runs down all of her accomplishments, first this, first that. The title is meant to be all about opportunity. She gave this title its biggest opportunity when she won it.
Gunther.
There he is.
Jerry Lawler loves
He's back
Gunther,
again.
the Magnificent. All hail Gunther.
Oh, the man himself has reappeared for the second time tonight. Aaron, thank you. Andre says that line was so cringe. Well, they got to build her up, man. They got to build her up and give people a reason, to think that it's a big deal that Nikki Bella is back. Hall of Famer, longest reigning Divas champion, all this stuff. But there's just something so wrong about Io Sky, of all people, who's been doing this for a very long time and is probably the best wrestler in the company, standing there and geeking out over Nikki Bella. Oh, you paved the way. Paved the way for us. Thank you. Anyway, Becky talking about how she has made this championship basically worth a damn now. It's now the most prestigious title in wrestling because of her. She should have been celebrating with her husband and her kid, but the bird lady, Lyra Valkyria, ruined everything. Lyra was so outraged that she raised Becky's hand after their match on Saturday so aggressively that Becky thought she separated her shoulder. And Becky tried to put everything behind them and asked Lyra to place the title around her waist, and then Lyra tried to kill her, she said. So she invited Crazy Bird Lady, or Bird Girl as I have been calling her for the longest time, to come out to the ring to apologize and to raise her hand properly. So they hit Bird Girl's music, and out comes Lyra Valkyria. And Becky is still yelling from the ring about an apology. Lyra stops in the aisleway as Becky is still ranting and raving and screaming at her in the ring, when all of a sudden, Bayley emerges from out of nowhere. We haven't seen Bayley since before WrestleMania, and Bayley attacks Becky from behind. Becky rolls out of the ring. Lyra, though, is right there. She rolls her back inside. Bayley goes for her rose plant, which, again, she needs a new move. I'm sorry. I just think it's a terrible move. But she goes for the rose plant. Becky shakes it off and flees into the crowd. Now, I said that I thought we might see her tonight, see Bayley back on TV. I think that was pretty much expected. If it wasn't going to be tonight, it was going to be very, very soon. What I was hoping, and this is what I talked about on episode 916, I was hoping they would wrap up the stuff with Becky and Lyra first. And when Becky wrestled on that Evolution show in 2018, she had that great last woman standing match with Charlotte Flair, which was a great match. Best match those two ever had against each other. And it would be a fitting end to the Becky and Lyra stuff if they go at it one more time and you use that stipulation. You could do last woman standing, Becky and Lyra. Those two have yet to have a bad match. Their matches, even going back to the NXT match they had a couple of years ago, they have been very good matches. And I actually thought the match they had at Money in the Bank was better than the one they had at Backlash. So them blowing it off with a stipulation like that, I'm sure it would be great. But what I would have done is did that at Evolution. And you could have Bayley come back even that night. And then from there, after she drops the belt back to Lyra, which should be the end goal here, Becky moves on to a feud with Bayley. And you could do Becky and Bayley at SummerSlam, which it could still work out that way. But that's kind of what I was hoping the order would be. Wrap this up first before you then go into Becky and Bayley. Becky and Bayley could be something that goes on for a few months. But what about Lyra in the meantime? If you're just going to circle back to Lyra in a few months, I don't really like that idea too much. So Bayley is back now, and they still could go with Becky and Bayley at Night of Champions first and still do Becky and Lyra at Evolution. Last woman standing. You could still do that idea on that show. It might still work out that way. The reaction, by the way, to Bayley, it was not, for a big name in that division and somebody who's been out. They did this injury angle with her many months ago. I didn't think the reaction was all that great. And this was a crowd that was very hot for almost everything on this show. This is a great fucking crowd tonight in Phoenix. But I don't know. That reaction just didn't feel as loud or as big as you would think it would be. So right after this, the announcers are talking, and R-Truth suddenly jumps up on the announce desk. He is dressed in all black, just like he was at Money in the Bank when he slipped in there during the main event. And he jumps up on the announce desk, pulls back his hoodie. Now, they had announced only a few hours before the show that he was going to be on Raw tonight. So it's not like it came out of nowhere. But the way that they did this, it was almost as if he was there. He just showed up unannounced. He's standing on the desk, and he told the fans, "Don't let nobody tell you that you don't matter. Don't let nobody tell you that your voice doesn't matter." They heard, they listened, they felt, and they understood. He's back because of the fans. They brought R-Truth back. We want truth. Y'all got truth. We won. R-Truth is back for all of us, every last one of us, and he's back for himself as well. Not only did we bring truth back, we got him. Now, we all love R-Truth, he says, but R-Truth can be too funny all the time. R-Truth could be too nice. He could be too forgiving. Not him. He feels different. He feels alive. And for any of us that think he's some sideshow act or a gimmick, and he set the mic down on the desk, and he pulled out a pair of scissors, and I'm like, oh shit, he's going all Ricochet on us now. They weren't golden scissors. But he pulls out a pair of scissors here, and he proceeds to cut off his hair. You know, because he has the the dreadlocks. He cuts all of his hair off, and you could hear the crowd, like the people in the crowd, gasp as they were watching this. And they cut to shots of the crowd, and people are like all wide-eyed, and they had their hands over their mouth, like they couldn't believe what they were seeing here. And then they chanted, "Holy shit." That might be the first time somebody gave themselves a haircut and got a holy shit chant for it. So he reaches down, he picks up, he grabs just a fistful of all the hair, all the dreads that he just cut off. And he said, "The truth has set him free. He is Ron Killings. He is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Now put some respect on his name." Fucking right. Put some respect on the man's name. This was a hell of a promo here. Nothing too deep. I mean, he came out, he had a message that he was there to deliver. He said the word truth about 1,000 times, but this was as intense of an R-Truth promo as we have had on this show in many, many years. And he cut a pretty good one, actually, before the match with John Cena on SmackDown. I think it was the night before Saturday night's main event. But this was very different. That was R-Truth. This was Ron Killings. And that's what the cutting of the hair represented. The cutting of the hair represented, that's the old me. That's the funny me. That's the guy that you've seen on television now for the last 10 years plus. That's not me anymore. That's not why I'm back. We're going to leave that guy in the past. That guy's too nice. That guy is a gimmick. I'm no gimmick. This felt like we are seeing the Ron Killings who won the NWA World Heavyweight Championship in TNA back in 2002. This is the R-Truth that we saw when he had that brief heel run in 2010, right? 2010, 2011, whatever it was. We have not seen this version of him in a very long time. And this wasn't a heel turn, but just a more serious side of this man. It's refreshing, and I'm happy. I'm happy that he's back. I'm happy that they realized, they being WWE, TKO, Nick Khan, Triple H, everybody who had a hand in making this stupid decision in the first place to get rid of him in the way that they did. It's not even that they decided to not renew his deal. I talked about this. It was the way in which the whole thing supposedly went down. Because we haven't heard from Truth. We've been getting a lot of reports from different websites and sources. But what we know is that he got a phone call, as probably all the other people did. Carlito and Valhalla and most people, they got a phone call. He got a phone call from somebody in talent relations saying, "Hey, we're not going to renew your deal. Don't bother basically coming back to work. You're done. Thanks for your service. 17 years straight of service. Thanks a lot." And yeah, he had 17 years of working for that company, which is longer than most. He had a hell of a run. Hell of a straight line too, and no breaks in between, because he had an earlier run of the company, but from 2008 or whatever it was to 2025 is a hell of a run. And I'm sure he got paid very, very well. But he was a veteran guy there who was very well respected, very well liked, and a very good person to have in that locker room. And also somebody that you can plug in on the show, and usually it was for comedy, but he could do more than just comedy. That's just what they elected to do with him. That's what they felt. That's where they felt his real value was. You're going to be the funny guy on the show, right? But he's a utility guy that you can plug in. At this point, he's 53 years old, but he can do whatever it is that you need him to do. They needed him for a match against John Cena on Saturday night's main event. They only gave them 4 minutes, but okay. Cena wasn't around to really build the match up, so he went out there on SmackDown, cut a promo, they had their match, like whatever role you need him for. And for 17 years of service, for it to end in the way that it did was a slap in the face. And it really pissed a lot of people off. Not just fans, but also talent and colleagues and people in that company who evidently voiced their concerns internally about how upset they were at him not being renewed in the way in which he was informed. Because evidently he was not happy about the way that went down either. That's really where the gripe was. They fucked up. They did not expect the backlash. They did not expect the outcry. They did not expect the hashtag. They did not expect probably the internal reaction to be as fierce as it was, because it's our truth, right? This is probably what they were thinking. Like, okay, they're looking at the books, they're looking at the numbers, and it's like, well, you know, relative to his spot on the roster and what we're doing with him and for the money he's making, we don't need to be spending this money. So just get rid of him. Just tell him when his deal is up, we're going to get rid of him. We're not going to bring him back. People didn't like that. They fucked up. And they took steps to remedy the mistake that they made. Great. All's well that ends well. I don't know what this new deal looks like that he signed. I don't know the length of the deal. What I do know is I know that his son had posted something on Instagram and said, one last run. That may well be what this is. Maybe it's not a long-term contract. Maybe he's looking at this as one last run. And I said a long time ago, I was coming up with all kinds of ideas, and like, if you wanted to do a one last run story with him, it can work. He just has to be more serious. And he could even make a run for the title. He doesn't have to win it, but like, if you're going to do one last run with this guy before he's ready to hang it up, like, this is the story that you do. So I don't know if that's what they're going to do with him now. You don't have to have him go after the world championship. He could be a solid guy in a mid-card, upper mid-card role who you can have on Raw or SmackDown and plug in there in a more serious role now. And I think he would do well. Doesn't have to be headlining shows and wrestling in main events. And hopefully that's what they'll have him doing now. But the idea of one last run, so he could at least get a proper send-off if 6 months from now or a year from now, you know, he was going to walk away. I think he at least deserves that much. You know, for the time he's put in, and like I said, as well respected and revered as he is, you know, by his colleagues and everyone else, I think you at least give him that much. It's like he said at the end of his promo, put some respect on my name. The company didn't put respect on his name. The fans did. His friends did. His colleagues did. They told the company, put some respect on this guy's name, and that's why he's back. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. They made a mistake and they fixed it. And I'm happy to see him back, and we'll see what they do with him. I don't know where he's going to fit on the show. I will say this. He didn't really give anything away, you know, as far as what the direction is going to be. He didn't name drop anybody. He didn't even mention John Cena. You know, he alluded to what Cena said in his promo about him being a sideshow act, but he never name dropped anybody. So it really did feel to me like this came together very last minute, and maybe they haven't quite figured out creatively what his spot is going to be yet. They knew they had to have him on the show to capitalize on all the buzz around his return. They may not even really have it locked down yet exactly what he's going to be doing or who he's going to be working with, because this all, based on what we've read, came together pretty late in the game. But whatever it is, I'm happy that he's back. Dominik Mysterio is in the back, warming up in the Judgment Day clubhouse. When Finn Balor and JD McDonough showed up, they bumped fists with him. Balor was surprised that he wasn't in the King of the Ring tournament. And Dom said, well, you had your shot at Money in the Bank and that didn't work out. So I didn't think that you would mind if I was in King of the Ring. And Balor said, I'm not upset. He said everything was working out perfectly. Roxanne Perez showed up. Balor told Dom and McDonough to let her know. And McDonough very reluctantly gave her a fist bump. Dom did not bump fists, but he told Roxanne that he watched her match and she did a pretty good job. And so naturally at that moment, who should walk in? Liv Morgan, who was not very happy because things didn't go too well for her in her King of the Ring or Queen of the Ring match. So Liv and Raquel walk in and Liv asks, what is everybody celebrating? And Roxanne said that she helped Liv by stopping Kairi Sane. And Liv said, is that what you did? Congrats then. So Liv and Raquel, they left. Balor told Dom, you should go talk to Liv. And Dom said, I have a match. And off he went. And Balor was very amused by all this. So the Judgment Day drama continues. Elsewhere in the back, Seth Rollins spoke to Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. Paul Heyman stood by. Rollins fired up Bron Breakker, who barked like a dog, and then headed out for his King of the Ring match. And Bronson Reed took possession of the Money in the Bank briefcase like he's the new guardian. You know, like the president has what they call the football. It's like the briefcase with the nuclear codes. I think it's attached to his wrist by a chain. That's kind of what Bronson Reed looked like here, holding that Money in the Bank briefcase. Yeah, somebody, I forgot who it was, sent me a tweet earlier and said, can Seth cash in on Jon Moxley and end the Death Rider stuff and take the championship away from Moxley? And that gave me a little chuckle. I said, you know what? That wouldn't be such a bad idea. That would not be. Imagine if like the rules were that not only is it cross-branded, but like it's across all companies. TNA, AAA, AEW. Cash in on whatever championship you want. Fucking Jon Moxley gets dethroned by Seth Rollins of all people. You know what? At this point, I'll take it. Then we had our first King of the Ring first round match. It was a 4-way with Bron Breakker, Sami Zayn, Penta, and Dominik Mysterio. Sami wiped out Breakker with a dive. Penta then wiped out Sami with a dive. Dominik wiped out Penta with a suicide dive that he turned into a DDT on the floor. But then Bron Breakker, as soon as Dom got up, Bron Breakker caught him coming off the apron with his leaping clothesline, and both men went tumbling over the announce desk. This led to a second commercial break for this match. It was a hot sequence, but it was the second break of this match about 10 minutes in. After the break, Penta powerbombed Dom, and Breakker hit Zayn with a Frankensteiner off the top. Penta hit Breakker with a DDT, and Dom tried to steal the pin, but Bron kicked out. Dominik blocked Zayn's Blue Thunder Bomb and went for 3 amigos, but Sami blocked the final suplex and then hit Blue Thunder for a near fall. Penta hit Sami with a Penta driver, but Dom caught Penta with a schoolboy. And then we had the referee and resident Mets fan, Eddie Orengo. He did not count the fall, though, when Dom went for the schoolboy on Penta because the shoulders were not down on the mat, which we couldn't see from like our camera shot. We couldn't see. It messed up the whole spot, but the shoulders aren't down, then the shoulders aren't down. What's the referee supposed to do? So Penta followed with a Mexican destroyer on Dominik that Breakker, I think, was supposed to break up, but he was late on the spot. And so Dom had to get his shoulder up and kick out at the last second. They've been doing a better job of protecting the destroyer and having Penta use that as his finish. So I don't think Dom was supposed to kick out of it, but Breakker was late. He had no choice. Breakker then sprinted around the ring and he cut down Penta out on the floor with a leaping spear. Nothing more terrifying than a flying Bron Breakker coming at you with that spear. Just ask Carlito. So down goes Penta. All of a sudden, who should show up here on Raw? He don't even go here. LA Knight. Out of nowhere, LA Knight shows up. He drops Bron Breakker on the floor with a BFT. And then he disappears. Now he's MIA. I don't know where he went. But back in the ring, Sami gave Dom an exploder and then a haluva kick, and he pinned him to advance to the semifinals. This was a great match. Crowd was hot for every second of it. They especially went nuts for the closing moments and for Sami winning. LA Knight coming out there. That I did not see that coming, but it makes sense because Seth invited his boys down to the ring to interject themselves in Money in the Bank, and they were wrecking shop and ruined it for a lot of people, including LA Knight. In fact, the last sequence or spot of the match was between Rollins and LA Knight before Rollins ultimately pulled down the briefcase. So good. Unlike CM Punk or Roman Reigns, who had no balls and didn't come out to do anything to Seth Rollins, LA Knight got fucked over on Saturday and said, no. I'm not going to let this stand. So he showed up and he ended up costing Breaker. And, he cost Seth's crew the chance to qualify, well, not qualify, but move on to the next round here of the King of the Ring. So to that end, it made sense. And you know what else would make sense? Because I've only been saying it every fucking week now for the last 3 weeks. Move LA Knight to Monday Night Raw. Now he's showing up on Raw. And he's targeting people who are on the Raw roster. So if it didn't make any sense for him to be on Raw before, which by the way, it did, it makes even more sense now. Especially after what they did on Saturday. He needs to be on Monday Night Raw as soon as possible. Unless he's winning King of the Ring. But you know what? At this point, I'd be a fucking fool to sit here and tell you, well, I think LA Knight's going to win King of the Ring. Actually, based on what he did tonight, LA Knight just doomed his chances of moving on in the King of the Ring tournament. Because you know what he did tonight will not go unanswered. But I did not see him appearing on this show. I was not expecting that. Let me show you the bracket because I haven't showed that to you yet. Here's the bracket for the King of the Ring tournament. So we just saw the match that you see in the upper left. Sami Zayn wins. He moves on to the semifinals. Sami Zayn will meet the winner of the match between Randy Orton, LA Knight, Aleister Black, and Carmelo Hayes. And as I look at this, Carmelo Hayes could absolutely advance to the next round. I could see him sneaking in a win. He will not make it beyond the semifinals if he makes it that far. But I could see Carmelo Hayes. I could see Aleister Black. I could see Randy. I could see anybody except LA Knight. I think after what happened tonight, LA Knight sealed his fate. On the other side of the bracket, as you can see here, Cody Rhodes, Damian Priest, Andrade, and Shinsuke, or shall I say Pinsuke, Nakamura. We know who's taking the pin in that match. That's going to be a 4-way match on that side of the bracket. And below them, the other Raw match, Sheamus, Rusev, Bronson Reed, and a mystery man. And as I look at this bracket here, first thought that hits me, how is Chad Gable or El Grande Americano, either one, not in this tournament? Especially after the weekend that he had. That's number one. Number two, you'll notice who else is missing here. No Karrion Kross, who didn't even have a qualifying match for Money in the Bank. And as of this moment, it doesn't appear that he is in a King of the Ring match either, unless, and this is the wild card here, you look on that lower right-hand corner, you see there is a mystery man. Might Karrion Kross end up being the mystery man? I will tell you that my first thought when I saw that was not Karrion Kross. My first thought was Ilya Dragunov, who by now, he should be fully healed. Was it a knee injury? Was it an ACL? It was some kind of leg or knee injury, but it was a long time ago, and I would imagine that he is cleared and ready to go, and he was on Raw last we saw him. So that was my first thought. Maybe this is a spot where Ilya Dragunov returns. It could be Karrion Kross. It doesn't make any sense to me why he's not involved in this. It's just so stupid at this point. It could be either one of them, but more importantly, I look at where we may be headed here in this tournament, and I think we're probably heading for Cody and Sami. If I had to venture a guess here, John Cena is going to be occupied with CM Punk. I think we could be looking at Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes, here in the finals of this tournament. Now, I mentioned Karrion Kross. He actually was on the show tonight. Now, if you don't see what happens in between the commercial breaks, if you're not using your trusty VPN, you probably didn't see this or even know about it. But there was a segment where Sami Zayn bumped into Karrion Kross. This was during one of the commercial breaks. Kross was very happy that Sami won on his own while taking his message to heart. And Sami had no idea what he was talking about. And Kross said that he used LA Knight's interference to get ahead. And so he did what it took to win. Said the real Sami Zayn was a manipulator. Sami said he won because he was good enough, just like he was good enough to win the world championship. And he warned him, stop bothering me because I'm good enough to handle you. So, they're still teasing out some kind of a story here or an issue involving Sami and Karrion Kross. You would think it's leading somewhere, but you know what? There's been so many moments of false hope in the last several months, whether it was Karrion Kross and Sami Zayn or Karrion Kross and AJ Styles, or that one segment after WrestleMania where AJ told Kross, you know what, you keep talking about Logan Paul and we can't let Logan Paul win and blah, blah, blah. If you care so much, why don't you go after Logan Paul? And remember that? And Karrion Kross said, maybe I will. And I thought, okay, that'll be interesting. Karrion Kross playing the role of babyface in a match against Logan Paul. He's probably going to lose, but there was no follow-up. It's like every time there's some sort of inkling that, okay, they might be doing something with this guy, there's absolutely no follow-up. And then I keep seeing these stories about how his contract is coming up at some point in the next few months, possibly the end of this summer. And I don't know when this man's contract ends. I don't know. I've heard the end of the summer. I've heard November. Who the fuck knows what's true? But the more I hear stories about how his deal is going to be up soon, and you're seeing them letting people go and not renewing their deals, boy, it sure feels like he's got one foot out the door. Because if they were serious about doing something with him, then they would do something. It's like they're afraid to do anything, or maybe in their mind they know, you know what, we can't start booking him in some sort of long-term story here because he may not be here long-term. I hate to think that way, but what the fuck else am I supposed to think? I don't know. I don't have a good feeling about his future, the way things are going. But who knows? Maybe he'll end up being in that mystery man spot in the tournament. This is the classic case of shit or get off the pot. You can't sit there forever. Shit or get off the pot, do something or move on. It's as simple as that. So is this segment going to lead to anything? Who the fuck knows? Kathy Kelly was in the back with AJ Styles, who said that he can't even enjoy his victory tonight because he can't stop thinking about what happened last week in the Money in the Bank qualifier with El Grande Americano. He says, if you disrespect AJ, he'll punch you in the mouth. He thinks he'll go tell Gable that to his face. And off he went. So Kathy was about to throw it back to Michael Cole and Wade Barrett, but she says, guys, I see a developing story off in the distance. So she goes to find, and I'm like, oh, okay. See what's going on here. Maybe it's something involving Karrion Kross, right? You never know, right? So she goes, and what does she see? She sees an argument or a conversation going on involving Grayson Waller and the New Day. Yawn. Now, as soon as Grayson Waller sees the camera coming over, he runs away. So Kathy asks New Day about their next title defense and, basically why they won't defend their titles. Kofi and Woods say they have too much respect for the titles to defend them. Oh, wait a minute here.
Mentos, the fresh maker.
That's what I like to see. Maybe if the New Day had a Mentos, they would be defending their titles more often. Maybe. Just maybe. El Masse, thank you very much. Kofi and Woods, though, said that they have too much respect for the titles to defend them against just anybody. Let me translate this for you, okay? I speak WWE. I'm very fluent in the language. And the translation is as follows. The tag team division on Raw sucks right now, and they don't have a lot of good options. That's why you don't see the New Day defending their tag team titles. The end. You can look, but you can't touch. Oh, yes. Nikki Bella was out to the ring next. Wade Barrett said, "We're eating good tonight." I don't know, of all the things on this show, and there was a lot of good shit on the show tonight, and you can use that expression. I wasn't using it for this segment, but Wade decided to say it. So that's what he said. And they did, look, she got a good reaction, and they showed one woman, one fan in the crowd. And funny enough, I think she was in a Cena shirt, but there was one woman in the crowd who was crying. She saw Nikki Bella coming out, and she was crying. At least I think that's why she was crying. I mean, maybe her shoes were too tight. Maybe she stubbed her toe. It was pretty painful. I don't know. So Nikki gets into the ring, and she's very thankful for the reaction that she's getting here from these fans. Thank you, thank you. She said that she was here to talk about something very special happening next month. And she said that in Arlington, it will be AEW All in Texas, and it will be Kazuchika Okada taking on Kenny Omega. Oh, wait, it's Monday. I'm sorry. It's Monday, right? Okay, I lapsed into the wrong review. No, so Nikki says there's something very special happening next month. That, of course, is the All Women's Evolution show, which is coming up on July 13th. That is All In weekend, by the way. And she mentioned that she main evented the very first one. She didn't say against who. Can't say that person now. And it's been amazing to see where the women's division has gone since then. So she ran down a bunch of names from the division. Rhea Ripley, like she's going through all these names. Stephanie Vacay, I think she said, or I forgot how she pronounced her name. But she mentioned Stephanie Vacay, among other people. One person she did not mention was Liv Morgan. And Nikki says that it's been amazing to follow all of these great, talented women and what they've done in the years since, she was around, and how they've elevated the women's division. And she put over all the talent basically in the locker room. And she speaks on behalf of all the women of the past that they can't be more grateful to see where the division is now. So she was interrupted by Liv Morgan. No music or anything, but Liv Morgan, who was very angry. Actually, the music, they did play the music, but Liv immediately asked for the music to be cut off. And she was very upset that she didn't mention Liv's name out of all the names that she ran down as the best woman in the division. And when Liv called herself the best woman in the division, she got a huge pop for it. She got like a big babyface pop for that line. She said that she is the most talented woman in the division. She was the women's world champion for all of last year. She was the first ever crown jewel champion. But you know what, Nikki? You're lucky. You're lucky that Liv wasn't around back then when you were the champion. She said Nikki didn't mention her because she's jealous of her, because she has everything that Nikki doesn't. She has respect, she has a championship, and she has a man. Ooh. Nikki said, I get it. You lost tonight. You're angry. I don't blame you. But speaking of Liv's man, she's just trying to figure out who he belongs to. Is it you or is it Roxanne Perez? Then she asked Liv to do her a favor to congratulate Roxanne for taking her title shot and her man. And she went to go leave. Liv said that Nikki can say whatever she wants because she's still a champion, and all Nikki will ever be is a reality show diva. So those were fighting words, and Nikki Bella decided to climb back inside. As soon as she climbed back through the ropes, though, Liv hit the ropes and dropped her with Oblivion and left her laying. The fans didn't hate Nikki Bella, but they really loved Liv Morgan here in this segment, probably more than Nikki. So this sets up a match for Evolution, but let's not assume that it's going to be Nikki Bella against Liv Morgan. Because remember, Liv Morgan is one half of the women's tag team champions. And if you have been paying attention to any interviews that the Bellas have done over the last few years, multiple times they have talked about how they want to hold those women's tag team titles. So maybe the match for Evolution, because we still have a month left. A lot of time. A lot of time to get Brie Bella back on TV to set up what I think is the more likely match, frankly, of the Bella twins against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez for the women's tag team titles. I think that ultimately ends up being the match at Evolution. Now, they could do Liv and Nikki one-on-one at Evolution and save the tag titles for SummerSlam. But I do think ultimately that's the destination. This is how we get to it. And then the Bellas finally holding the women's tag team titles. I think that's the ultimate destination. And yes, I see the chat already. Yes, yeah, I know what that means. I know what that means. We're going to get Brie mode on television. You wait and see. We're getting Brie mode. You're not just going to be getting Brie mode here on these streams. We're going to be getting Brie mode on TV very soon. I have a feeling. The main event of this show. Finally come upon the main event. All 2,100 of you rise for the ring general because it was Gunther coming out, getting his rematch from WrestleMania, one-on-one against the Yeet Man himself. That's what Rikishi calls his son, the Yeet Man. Jey Uso, defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Gunther. Now, before the match, Cole and Barrett, they narrated highlights of the beating that Jey took at the hands of Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed last week, the beating he took from John Cena and Logan Paul on SmackDown, and the moonsault on the announce desk that he took from Logan Paul at Money in the Bank, which was a great fucking move, by the way. That was the spot of the match, is what that was. So they were really playing up the ribs and the fact that Jey is not coming into this match at 100%. In fact, Jey Uso had his ribs taped up. He looked like Diamond Dallas Page out there if DDP had tribal tattoos. And he came out, his ribs were all taped. He came down through the concourse, escorted by his son. How nice. He brought his son down to the ring. They were yeeting on the steps, and they came down. His son stayed in the front row, and then Jey went out into the ring, and he yeeted some more. There's a lot of yeeting going on tonight. So after a break, because they went to break very quickly into this match, after a break, Gunther started honing in on the injured ribs. He noticed Jey was wincing and favoring his ribs, and it's great because, and I've seen him do this in his matches before, where the opponent will noticeably sell an injury, and the camera sort of zooms in on Gunther's face, and he immediately begins to smile. Like, okay, I know what I must do now. And so he immediately went to work. He ripped off the tape around Jey's ribcage. Jey managed to get a sleeper applied, but Gunther reached the ropes for the break. Jey dropped him with a German suplex and then set up for something. I don't know what he was going for, but Gunther caught him in a sleeper of his own. So Jey shook him off out to the floor and then went for a suicide dive. Gunther, though, cut him off with a punch as he was about to dive right through the ropes. Outside the ring, Gunther delivered a release German suplex on the floor. That took us into our second and final commercial break of this match. We come back and Jey manages a vertical suplex, and he ends up on the apron. And Gunther just reaches over and applies a sleeper, but Jey drags him over the top rope out to the floor. And Gunther is therefore eliminated from the Royal Rumble. No. Then Jey hits him with a suicide dive, and both men are down on the floor outside. They get back up, and Gunther picks him up and drops him back first, like back and ribs first, on the top part of the barricade. And he puts him back in the ring. And Gunther tries for a splash off the top. Jey gets the knees up. And then Jey Uso hits a spear. Up to the top, Jey lands an Uso splash. And for a guy who was selling his ribs the entire time and came into this match with his ribs all taped up, he just came off the top rope with a splash. I mean, you'd think he would sell it. He would grab the ribs, wait 2 or 3 seconds, and then cover him. Nope. I guess the adrenaline was flowing. So he immediately covers Gunther, and he kicked out. Gunther used the ropes to pull himself back to his feet. Jey was setting up for another spear. Gunther, though, turns him inside out with a lariat as he comes charging in. Now, Gunther goes for a powerbomb. Jey counters into a Rana. He's got him pinned. Only gets 2. Gunther delivers a back suplex right across the knee. And then hits the powerbomb with the stack. And Jey kicks out. Gunther then goes for a spear of his own. This move has been just so bastardized, by the way. It's so crazy. Like, I don't know that I remember. I know Hacksaw Jim Duggan used to do the the what do they call it? The 2-point stance, 5-point stance. Yeah, the football tackle. That was his finish. But I'm trying to think, was there anybody who really utilized in like American wrestling, anybody who utilized the spear as like a signature move or a finishing move before Bill Goldberg? I don't want to say Bill Goldberg was the first person to really start doing it, but he was the one who popularized it. And he did it with such explosiveness and just ferocity. Like it looked like it hurt. It looked like he was fucking just destroying people. That's what helped get him over, were the spear and the jackhammer. But then since Goldberg, Edge started doing it, after that, and then Roman Reigns was doing it, and so many people. And Jey Uso does it. He's probably the worst of them all. My attitude has always been, if you're going to use the move, make it look good. And there are just some guys who do it where it looks like they're hugging you. And then Braun Breaker comes along, and he does a spear as good as anybody I've ever seen since Goldberg. So anybody else who does this move now, it just looks like such shit. By comparison, it just looks so inferior. Oh, the gore, thank you. Oh my God, how could I forget? Rhino, yes. Rhino. Yeah, but you know what? Goldberg was doing it in 98. Well, yeah, I guess Rhino would have been doing it around the same time. Was Rhino doing it before that? 97? I don't know if he was doing it back in 97. Yes, Rhino. How could I forget Gore? Oh, man. Lashley does it now. Lashley's is pretty good. But I'm just saying there's so many other people that use it and it just doesn't look good, I don't know how Jey Uso started. I guess Jey Uso started doing it because Roman was doing it. He really shouldn't do it. But Gunther did it, and he hooks the leg. It didn't work. Jey kicked out. Gunther picks him up and clubs him with just a wicked clothesline. And Gunther is yelling at him show it to me now. Show me. Show me what you got. And he delivers a stiff arm clothesline. Jey doesn't go down. Now Jey is telling him to bring it. He's motioning that he wants him to give him more. So there's a sleeper hold by Gunther. Jey breaks out of it, hits a super kick, and what else? A spear. And back up to the top rope he goes. Uso splash. Nobody's home. Right onto the bad ribs. He splats on the mat. And Gunther applies the sleeper, and this time the hooks are in. He's got him down on the mat. Full weight on top of Jey. Jey's trying to reach the ropes. Gunther drags him away back to the center of the ring. And he navigates back to his feet. So the hold is still applied, but now Jey at least is vertical. But then they go right back down to the mat. And Jey looks like he's fading, but he gets a second wind. And now they're back to their feet. Gunther, though, drags him back down to the mat. Now, for some reason, Gunther let go here. And he started to rain down some anvil elbows. But now Jey gets the sleeper on. And he drags Gunther down to the mat. And Gunther gets out. And he drops some more anvil elbows. He reapplies the sleeper. Crowd is yeeting. They're trying to yeet Jey back to his feet. Jey's got nothing left. He's fading. He looks like he's completely out of gas. And Jey Uso is out. And the referee checks his hand. He's out. The referee calls for the bell. And these people were shell-shocked. I was stunned. I didn't think we were getting a clean finish here. And if we got a clean finish, I thought it was going to be one that was going to make me mad. This didn't make me mad. I was happy to see this. I didn't think they'd have the balls to do it. Gunther, for the second time, is once again the world heavyweight champion. And I'm sitting here going, holy shit, he choked him out right in front of his son. And then I thought of his dad. And I said, man, this is going to be an epic meltdown from Rikishi the next time he speaks. Gunther poses with the belt. Fireworks go off. And the ring general back on the throne for a second time. The match itself, it was a good match. It was a good match. Was it slow in spots? Yes, but they were telling a story with the injured ribs. That was the psychology of the match. And they did a very good job with the video package and the announcers narrating, all the stuff that Jey has been through over the last week. The beatings and just the damage and the abuse that he took to the injured ribs. That was the out. They gave Jey an out with the injury. He fought valiantly, but in the end, Gunther was just too much for him. And he went out. He went out on his sword. There was no cheating. That's the thing about Gunther's matches, and I pointed this out before. With very few exceptions, and I really can't think of any off the top of my head. There was one match on Raw where Ludwig Kaiser, and what the fuck happened to that guy, by the way? Why isn't he in King of the Ring? I doubt he's the mystery man. But there was one match I remember, it might have been against Sheamus. In fact, I know it was against Sheamus. It was on Raw, and Kaiser got involved. That was like the closest thing to cheating that Gunther has done in one of his matches. He's a heel, but he goes in there and he fights admirably and honorably. And if he loses, like he did to Cody last year at the Saudi show, and he shook his hand when the match is over, he paid his respect and said, okay, you were the better man for one night. And it's refreshing because for so long in the history of this company, that's just not how heels were booked. And that's what makes him different than your standard, heel or monster heel, whatever you want to call him on the show. And one of the things I appreciate about the way that they book Gunther. But he's the champion again. I was not expecting it. I'm very happy to see it. I don't know if that means that he's not wrestling Goldberg at Saturday night's main event. If he is, then that means it's going to be a championship match, and that sucks. I hope not. There's no need for Bill Goldberg's retirement match to be a championship match. So I certainly hope not. But I said at the beginning, I think I see the vision. And again, I could be off. There's any number of ways this could go, involving the Money in the Bank briefcase, which he could cash in for the WWE Championship. Doesn't necessarily have to be for the World Heavyweight title. But then that kind of leaves Cody Rhodes, I think, out in a lurch. I think I see the vision. Gunther is once again the World Heavyweight Champion. Sami Zayn has advanced to the semifinal round of the King of the Ring. I think that we're probably going to end up getting Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes in Saudi Arabia. Sami is beloved in Saudi Arabia. You see the reactions he gets when he comes out on those shows. They love him in Saudi Arabia. And when they announced that the Royal Rumble was coming to Saudi in 2026, I and a lot of other people said that Sami Zayn was the first name that came to mind. Sami goes out there in his promos and talks about, I know I can be a champion. Everybody tells me I can't be. Gunther tells him I can't be. I know I can be a world heavyweight champion. I will be champion. And of all the times and all the places for him to maybe one day win the Royal Rumble and go to WrestleMania, it just felt like if ever there was going to be a time for it, it's 2026. But now he's in the King of the Ring. And the finals are in Saudi Arabia. I think he goes to the finals, he wins King of the Ring, and he wins a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. He's got history with Gunther. We get Gunther and Sami, because they had a WrestleMania match last year for the Intercontinental title. Sami beat him. Sami has proven before that he can beat this man. I think he goes to SummerSlam. He beats Gunther to win the World Heavyweight Championship. And he doesn't have that title very long before Seth Rollins cashes in his Money in the Bank and he wins the world title. He steals the World Championship away from Sami Zayn at SummerSlam. If that sounds familiar, it's because they did the exact same thing with Daniel Bryan in 2013. He beat John Cena to win his first WWE Championship, and he got fucked over by the Authority. And Randy Orton cashed in his Money in the Bank, and in 6 seconds, it was all over. And he took the championship away from Daniel Bryan. And that led into the Yes Movement. And Daniel Bryan went on to WrestleMania, even though that was not the original plan. But he did go on to WrestleMania the following year. And what happened? He won the championship, and he got a proper run for a little bit, but then he got hurt. But he won the championship for a few minutes, but it led to this longer-term story. And in this case, Sami gets fucked over by Seth and his new group. Has to claw his way back. He could win the Royal Rumble in Saudi next year. Get a rematch, get his championship shot at WrestleMania in Vegas, and beat Seth Rollins next year and properly win the World Heavyweight Championship. I think that's the vision. And if that is the vision, I like it. And that's a story that I can get behind. because they've been telling this story with Sami for the longest time. But if ever there was a time to pull the trigger and make it happen, the pieces are in place now. They're all there. The stars are aligned. All they have to do is follow through on the story, and the story is there to be told. And even with him and Seth, there's history with him and Seth. We've seen the backstage segments with him and Seth. Seth, I think, has said the same thing about him, maybe not being able to be world champion, but it's all there. I see the vision, and I like what I see. This was a great episode of Raw. This was my favorite episode of Raw all year. Next week on the show, we have a first-round match in the Queen of the Ring. Asuka is back against Stephanie Vicaire, Raquel Rodriguez, and Ivy Nile. Poor Ivy. And in the King of the Ring four-way match next week, Sheamus, Rusev, Bronson Reed, and a mystery man. Let the speculation begin. I'm going to go with Ilya Dragunov. I think he's going to be my pick. But let the speculation begin on who the mystery man is going to be. What did you think of Raw after Money in the Bank? Look at this score. 90% thumbs up. I knew I wasn't going to escape it. Will we be seeing this on Raw very soon? I think we might. 90% thumbs up, 10% thumbs down. Andre says Tonga Loa as the... I hadn't thought about that. Tonga Loa as the mystery man in King of the Ring. I still can't believe, what... Man, everyone's talking about, Karrion Kross. I don't think we're talking enough about Ludwig Kaiser.
It's the amazing Gunther.
He's also getting the
Jerry
shaft.
Lawler loves Gunther, the Magnificent. All hail Gunther.
Hey, Tom in the chat, that's I hadn't thought about that. That's an interesting option too. He thinks Ricky Saints could end up as the mystery man in King of the Ring, because Ricky Saints lost his NXT North American Championship to Ethan Page, and the talk was that he and Jordan Grace, as well as Stephanie and Roxanne, would be going to the main roster very soon. I wouldn't mind that at all. I wouldn't mind that if they wanted to have Ricky Saints as the mystery man. And I think it would get a great reaction too. I like the way you think. Well, we won't have to wait very long to find out, will we? We'll know by next week. Bret Hart says it's Joe Hendry. Yeah. You know what's sad? There's probably a better chance of it being Joe Hendry than Karrion Kross or Ludwig Kaiser. Is Dragunov still injured? He might be. I feel like he's been gone for so long. I would have thought he was healed up by now, and they were just waiting for the right time to bring him back. Ron Killings says Matty Cakes. Oh, of course, right in front of us. Ron Killings in the King of the Ring. If Ron Killings was going to be in the King of the Ring, I feel like he would have to win, and I just don't see him winning. I don't know. To me, it would just make no sense to have him in there if he's not going to win the whole thing. All right, we got a lot of messages to go through here. What did you think of Raw? Who do you think the mystery man is? What did you think of Money in the Bank? What's your favorite flavor of ice cream? Whatever you got for me. I see we hit our secondary goal.
It's the amazing Gunther.
I love it.
Jerry Lawler loves Gunther, the Magnificent. All hail Gunther.
Gunther sounded a little weird there on that super chat. And Gunther's been doing a little too much drinking today. He's been celebrating. He's been hitting the bubbly. That's what's been happening. Gunther, I think you need to calm down there, buddy. I think you need to tone it down a little bit. All right, let me go back to the OG super chats that you will not see on your screen because they came in too early to register on your screen. But I'm going to go through them first because that's how we do it around here. In fact, I'm going to start with Terrible Dried Chicken. Said, I had WWE brought back R-Truth.
Have the best moveset.
He predicted it, I guess he's saying. I know he's not the long-term plan, but he deserves a proper send-off. Yeah, I mean, that's really what it's about. It's about just, if this is going to be his last run, just give him a proper run. You know, for it to end the way that it did, it just was wrong. It just felt wrong. It says, also, would love to have that power, but Nick Khan only has that power. And I'm glad R-Truth came back. He will have a proper send-off, whether Triple H likes it or not. Professional wrestling needs to stay cool. Death Scythe. WWE needs to do one of two things with LA Knight if he stays on SmackDown. He needs to win King of the Ring. Well, that's not happening. Or trade him to Raw and CM Punk to SmackDown. And that way, Punk can win King of the Ring and face John Cena for the WWE Championship at SummerSlam. Well, that is not happening either. He's not winning King of the Ring because he's not in King of the Ring. So, neither of those things are going to be happening. The Winston Slip says his favorite flavor is Baskin-Robbins peanut butter and chocolate. Number one, Homo Sapien. Do you think if Truth's return didn't happen, that the feel-good ending could have been Knight winning Money in the Bank instead of Seth? No.
I am the last.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh my god. Oh no.
Fuck that tree.
That alerting tree did not sound good. We're busting out the chainsaw to chop down that tree. Oh my god. That sounded terrible. Terrible Dry Chicken says, ring ring, there's been a trade proposal. Says, Gunther, American Made, and Rhea Ripley go to SmackDown. Raw gets Carmelo Hayes, LA Knight, Motor City Machine Guns, Chelsea Green, Naomi, and Jade Cargill in return. Yay or nay? I feel like you're giving too much to Raw. SmackDown's the 3-hour show. SmackDown has to have more talent than Raw, so I don't mind some of those moves. I would probably just adjust a few or chop a couple of them off. You know, if anybody's going to get more, it would have to be SmackDown. Death Size, sorry, jumped the gun on Punk winning King of the Ring. Also, what do you think of Ilya Dragunov turning heel and joining Seth's group when he comes back from injury? I don't like it. I don't think it works. I don't think it's necessary. I think right now they have enough people. I wouldn't be worried too much about adding more people right now. The Real CS says, hey Solo, do you think I'm overreacting when I say that I personally believe Triple H is setting up LA Knight to fail? I mean, if he wasn't going to win Money in the Bank, then why put him in the match? I don't think he's setting him up to fail purposely. I just think they clearly, do not see him right now in a top spot on the show, and he's simply not a priority to them. But I just feel like, him being in that match 3 years in a row and losing and meandering around without direction for so long the way he did, it just doesn't do him any favors. And the longer this sort of thing carries on for, it does real damage. So him showing up tonight gave me hope, that he's going to be in the mix here in some way with Seth's group. The problem is he's not on Raw. So outside of them interfering in his match maybe on Friday, I don't know how you navigate that unless you move him to Raw, which is where he needs to be now anyway, because if he stays on SmackDown, I just think he's stuck. He says, the worst part was why book the finish that way. This is why I believe he's being set up to fail. I may be overreacting. I mean, he's being set up to fail just based on the booking, but I mean, that implies that it's like an intentional, like they're intentionally trying to bury him because they don't like him, or I don't think that's the case. The booking is not doing him any favors, though. The booking might be burying him, but I don't think they're actively trying to bury him. Orioles Peak says, I just hope it was Killing's true decision to cut his hair. Otherwise, that would have been one of the most racist things I've ever seen in my life. He didn't cut his hair off if he didn't want to cut his hair off. So for context, for centuries, white people would make black and indigenous people cut their hair to strip them of their cultural identity as slaves. I don't think that's what was going on here. No, he was basically shedding the R-truth that we have been seeing on television for so long that people have looked at as like a circus act. And this was like Ron Killings, which is what he was earlier in his career, a more serious version of himself coming back out. That's how I read it. Chris O'Neill, it looks like we're getting Ron the Truth. Won't let me submit his last name. I don't know, it's weird because other people have put it in there. Death Scythe, by the way, Solo, can you imagine Gunther with long hair like Jason Momoa? No, actually, I can't. I cannot, even for a split second, I can't. Not for 1 second. We have Terrible Dried Chicken. Playing The Price is Right music. The King and Queen of the Ring winners will not only receive a title match at SummerSlam, they will receive a hotel presidential suite in New Jersey and a resort in Tahiti. Thank you, Rod Roddy. Thank you, Johnny Olson. Josiah Ball, it's my birthday, Solo. I'm turning 17, and I'm so excited for CM Punk against John Cena. Well, everybody wish Josiah a happy birthday. You got to wait another year, though, before you can vote. But happy birthday, brother. Grieg. That's not Griega. I don't know if that's our friend Griega or if this is a different person, but thank you for the $4.99, brother. Orioles Peak. Nikki returning. Naomi's Ms. Money in the Bank. Asuka's back. Hopefully Jade against Charlotte in the finals. My Divas fandom is making a comeback, and I could not be happier. Well, we're definitely getting Jade and Charlotte. I don't know if it'll be in Queen of the Ring. I had that as a match at Evolution. It could happen the first time in Queen of the Ring, maybe. But I still feel like that's going to be the Evolution match. Dried Chicken says, here's how John Cena can generate massive heat in an alternate 2025 universe. He delivers a ruthless promo against Nikki Bella in Phoenix, Arizona. Well, I mean, that was never going to happen, so I don't know why you would expect it. Josiah says, it's my birth... I guess you sent that twice. Well, I'm going to wish you a happy birthday twice, Josiah. We got Jimmy White. Thumbs up just for that yeeting idiot's loss. Well, we know who he is happy won that main event tonight. Arabian Knight says, is there hope for Karrion Kross? He's still getting reactions. I would build to Kross against Dom for the Intercontinental title at SummerSlam, maybe hair versus hair. Or is he gone by then? I mean, the way things are going, I think he may be gone by then. I don't have the hope that you do. I really don't think that we're going to get that. Johnny Burney, Gunther, you're next. Spear, Jackhammer, 1, 2, 3. Johnny, I'm going to have to show you the exit door for that. I'm going to have my sound off security, my security geeks, carry you out for even suggesting that. Fire Panda with that $50 bomb. Praise be to our glorious world champion. Dark Effect. Thank you again for those 10 gifted memberships. Dark Effect is awesome. Who wants to be my security geeks? I'm taking applications. Powerful One. I agree with your scenario, except Seth cashes in during the match, not after. The story is Sami has never won a world title, and just before he finally does it, Seth screws him at the last minute. Yeah, that works. That works too. says, now Sami has to chase after him, go through Bron, Reed, win the Rumble, challenge Seth, and finally win the title at WrestleMania 42 back in Las Vegas. Yeah, I mean, that works very well also. Turns it into a triple threat like he did at WrestleMania 31. And pins the challenger as he did at WrestleMania 31. Because remember, he didn't pin Brock in that match. He pinned Roman. But you see what I see, right? You see the vision is the same, though. I think it just works so well. Antonio Taylor says, wow, they just ended Jay's title reign like that. Gave me a little whiplash. Again, he was not going to have that championship for much longer had he held on to it tonight. Arabian Night, we're getting WrestleMania 30 story with Sami. He's earned it. Hard to believe, you know, for all the years he's been up on the main roster. He's never held a world championship. He was NXT champion, and that didn't last very long. Kevin Owens has been the WWE Universal Champion. He had a run with that. Even KO, though. Now, that was a long time ago. That was, what, 2016 into 2017? Even Owens he hasn't held the WWE Championship. He hasn't been a World Heavyweight Champion. But at least he had that one run. Sami hasn't even had that. Powerful One says, I can also see Roman screwing Seth to help Sami. You screwed me out of my moment at WrestleMania 31 with that stupid briefcase. I'll be damned if I sit back and let you do it again to my dog, Sami. Yeah, it's possible. I just feel like the match for SummerSlam is probably going to be, or it could be, Rollins and Roman. You can still do Rollins and Roman because Roman... I would think Roman is back in time for a match at SummerSlam. And I could even see him beating Seth. Because again, when you got the Money in the Bank briefcase, they don't have a problem beating you, especially if you're going to end up cashing in successfully. Seth could lose to Roman at SummerSlam and come right back at SummerSlam the same night or the next night and do exactly what we just talked about and win the championship. Sarat Mohanty. Fourth mystery man for next week's King of the Ring tournament seems to be Ilya Dragunov. His history with Gunther makes sense. Sami versus Dragunov at King of the Ring finals makes the winner unpredictable. I feel like Sami and Cody is the more unpredictable match because there's a lot of people probably figuring Cody to win or Cody to get the title shot at SummerSlam. To me, that's the more unpredictable match. Although, yeah, again, Sami and Dragunov would be a hell of a match. Duff's Vids, why don't fish take summer vacation? They're always in schools. That took me a few seconds before I realized the punchline. They're always in schools. Thank you, Duffs. Aaron with the $50 bomb. Great show with fun moments. Super happy Gunther is once again our champion. Cena Punk segment was fun, but also disappointed it's happening so soon in Saudi. Feels kind of rushed. Would have preferred it at SummerSlam, but I'm sure it will be Cody against Cena. Aaron, I think you're right. The Wichita Workhorse. Is that my friend Clayton? I do believe it is. Raw is usually background noise, but tonight I was glued to my screen. I'm telling you, man, I can't remember the last time I'm sitting here on a Monday afternoon and I'm putting the thumbnail together and the preview, and I'm like, man, I'm really looking forward to the show tonight. And then watching the show, I thought it was a great show. David Thiering, 13 months of channel membership. Legend has it, if you look outside, you can see Rikishi's furniture fly over the moon. Loving the WWE vision you laid out and talked about on X. Thank you, David. And Alexander said, look how they massacred my boy. That's what Rikishi is going to say. I'll be surprised if Rikishi doesn't talk about being upset that they took the title off of him so soon. Let me look. He's a dad who loves his son. And also, to be fair, I mean, his son is very popular with their audience and the kids, and he sells a lot of merch, and so he's going to stick up for his son. But I'd be surprised if we don't hear something from him. Who do we got, by the way, leading on the community leaderboard in the live chat? I haven't checked yet. Maze the Great is tied. Tied for first with Quizzical One. Although Quiz is listed at number 2 and Death Sight at number 3. 450 XP, 450 XP, 375 XP. Those are experience points. You build them up in the live chat. Live chat, super chats, it all counts. Alexander says, once Gunther drops the belt, he and LA Knight should switch shows. Gunther can go after Cena or Cody. Yeah, that works. That works for me. Holiday 197, hey Solo, WWE threw us a curveball with the main event finish. Hopefully the plan isn't to have Gunther against Goldberg at Saturday night's main event for the World Heavyweight Championship. Even worse if Goldberg retires winning the belt. He's not. I promise you. I promise you. He's not retiring winning the belt. I can't sit here and allow myself to honestly believe they would be so stupid as to do that. We got Nico, will TKO engraving sponsorships on the championships? Will they engrave sponsorships on the championships? Not on the championships. I do think that we will see sponsor logos or sponsored gear that wrestlers will soon be wearing. Like they do in I think, UFC. I think that's coming. I mean, we're going to see... we might see Gunther out there with a Slim Jim logo tattooed on his ass. Oh my God. We got a red bomb, everybody.
Cause they love them in London, in Paris, in Tokyo, America, Scotland, and Canada, and Mexico. They say, I believe in the monster.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I believe in the monster.
I love it. Oh my God. We got hit with a Havili bomb. Do you believe this? This is the first real Havili bomb that we have been hit with here on these streams. Havili. With a nearly $200 super chat bomb. Wow. And the least I could do, that's not 300 American. People like 300. 300, I think that's Australian, right? Havili, you're in Brisbane, right? I think that's 300 Australian, which is 195 US. That's still a bomb. I'm going to read Havili's because he just dropped it. I'm going to read it now. How are you doing today after the House of Glory main event? As a Bret Hart fan, I'm doing okay. I crashed out a little bit at the end of the main event on commentary because of what happened and almost lost my voice. But I have calmed down. I was disgusted by what I saw, but it happened. We have a new champion. I'm not happy about it. I think dark days are ahead. I'm afraid of what the future holds, but it is what it is. He says, as a Bret Hart fan, in your opinion, would he be a great NWA World Champion? Yes, I do. I do think he would have been. I think he would have been a great NWA World, like the traveling World Champion. I don't know, as a draw, what he would have been like relative to somebody like a Flair, but I think just carrying himself as a champion and the types of matches he would have with different people, I think he would have been a great NWA champion. Buy or sell. Nikki Bella turns on Brie. Oh, no. We've been there, done that. We don't need that. Or Jimmy turns on Jey. Neither. We've already seen it. I have no interest in seeing it again. If Kevin Owens wasn't injured, would he get punted in the head by Randy Orton at WrestleMania 41 or Backlash? WrestleMania 41. Had he been healthy enough to have that match with Randy Orton, it was all building to the punt kick at WrestleMania. And it had to be WrestleMania because the match at Backlash in St. Louis was always going to be Orton against Cena. So he punts Owens at WrestleMania. He has the title match with Cena a few weeks later at Backlash. So, Havili, thank you for the questions and thank you for the support. I appreciate that big bomb, brother. You're awesome. Let's get this music back on here. I had to turn the music off so we can hear the Joe Hendry theme. Nick Grasso. Io Sky's booking is a joke. Seriously, the best they have for the Women's World Champion is fangirling for Nikki Bella. When I bet the house that she has never seen a 3-minute Nikki Bella match. Yeah, it was tough to stomach that. You know, having her of all people, you know, mark out for Nikki Bella. That was tough. And they do need to come up with something for her to do. I would certainly hope and assume they have some direction for her for their big Evolution show. But Evolution is still a month away, so they need to figure something out very quickly for Io Sky. Nico again, thank you. Dr. 813, I think the unnamed man and winner of King of the Ring is Ilya Dragunov. So you think the winner is going to be Ilya Dragunov? See, I disagree. You're more optimistic about that than I am. Matt Scales, what's the bet that the Yeet Man is the final person in the King of the Ring? Oh man, I hadn't thought about that. Ugh. Oh, man. I hope not. We got VV India. Cody already pinned Cena at Money in the Bank. Why is he in King of the Ring? We can also get Sami against Cody at the King of the Ring final. That's what I think the King of the Ring final is going to be. There's Havili. Thank you, Havili. Number one, Homo Sapien. I know a lot of jokes about unemployed people, but none of them work. Very good. That's Homo Sapien. You can direct your hate mail to Homo Sapien. Aaron with the $50 super chat. Been waiting years for the real Ron Killings in WWE. He deserves this run after being the butt of the joke for years. His old NWA/TNA work was awesome. Not saying we'll get that level of seriousness from him, but it's very cool to see him be himself. Yeah, I mean, again, he's 53 and his son is on social media talking about this as a final run. You know, if it is, then it's time to drop the shtick and just let him be himself. Shouldn't just be doing comedy shit until the day he retires. Holiday says, thoughts on Seth potentially cashing in Money in the Bank on the WWE title if Cody beats Cena at SummerSlam. Then we renew the Seth versus Cody feud. That could work, although it brings us further and further away from Cody and Randy, which I still would like to see. I mean, look, they have a few different options. It's not a bad option. I don't see that being the case. It would be a bit of a curveball. I wouldn't hate it, but I don't see it. Duff's Vids, why did the snowman buy a bag of carrots? So he could pick his nose. Because the carrot is the nose on the snowman, don't you see? Do I have to spell it out for you? Pisco 95. Bro, what a wild episode. Is Punk actually working Saudi? Oh, the irony and the hypocrisy. That almost confirms it's Cena versus Cody at SummerSlam, though Cody may not win King of the Ring. Also, I didn't expect that World Heavyweight title change. Best Raw in a while. It was a very loaded, very eventful episode. Those are the best episodes. Not the ones that just feel like paint by numbers, and if you missed it, you didn't miss much. That's how SmackDown is on most weeks. Duff's Vids. Why was the math book sad? It had too many unsolved problems. It should have been too many unresolved problems. I'm like the copy editor now, like editing your joke. Like, oh, you should have said it this way. You should have used this word instead of that word. I feel like I'm grading papers here. Aaron with the 20. The magic with Punk and Cena has never went away. Oh, there's Vato Sting. Olale. He says, legit could be Cena's last match, or at least a SummerSlam match, but if it's being wasted on a 2-week build, it's being wasted on a 2-week build, still an unreal segment, just wish we get a longer build for this. I agree. I agree. Am I the math teacher now? Believe me, math ain't the subject that you want me teaching. Be teaching you the Pythagorean theorem and proofs, calculus. It's going to be a shit show if you have me teaching that stuff. Michael, my inner child screams, don't go when I see Cena's countdown. I thought that's what you scream when I go to end each stream. See, that's what your answer should have been. I see where I stand now in the pecking order. Duff's Vids. What's the difference between the bird flu and the swine flu? One requires tweetment and the other an ointment. If ever this deserved this sound effect, this is it right here. Tweetment. El Masse. Oh my God. El Masse. El Masse. Wanted to go to All In Texas this year, but unfortunately none of my wrestling friends can make it. Should I go by myself? Have you gone to wrestling shows alone? Yes. Not too many of them, but I've been to a few. I mean, it's fine. It's like if you want to go to the movies alone, who gives a shit? If there's something you want to see, go see it. I mean, just be aware, though. You're going to be sitting outside in Texas, outdoors in the middle of July, on a show that's going to be 7 hours long. So, just be prepared for that. But I'll tell you what, if you're looking for a deal on tickets, you'll pay a lot more reasonable fee for an all-in ticket than you will for a WWE ticket. So if you have the chance to go, if that's the only thing holding you back from not going, then don't let it. If you want to go to the show, go to the show. Aaron says Queen Roxanne versus Io Sky at SummerSlam. Sign me up. I'm game for that. We got Paul Van Summeren. Does the stadium have a roof? Or is it retractable? I don't know. I just assumed it would be it's an outdoor stadium. Somebody look it up. Is Globe Life Field an open air stadium? Paul Van Summeren, not sure if having Fireball be a heavy sponsor of an event in Los Angeles was a savvy idea only 6 months after the wildfires. I don't think it's a big deal. We may be looking a little too much into it. I don't even think they noticed, honestly. Power spying games I forgot to mention on Friday. Eid Mubarak to all. Yes, indeed. Talking about this Friday, right? I believe so. Bradley Slimp. I will not be here on Friday, just so you know. There will be no sound off this weekend coming up. Be a sound off the following Sunday, June 22nd. That'll be episode 917, but I'll be here on Wednesday. I'll be back here on Wednesday. That'll be the last stream here on this channel this week. Bradley Slimp, I think the word buried has scared head writers. Scares me because people use it so much and don't even realize they're using it incorrectly most of the time.
Squawking like a bird. Jesus.
Havili is squawking like a bird, as did Charlotte Flair. Thank you, Havili. Havili, I'm going to read that message here in a little bit. So someone says, yes, it has a retractable roof. It could be open, though. Just be aware of that. I think for the aesthetic, they may want to have it open. We got Aaron, amateur wrestling enthusiast Hulk Hogan, paved the way for Benjamin Shelton. Yeah, they would have Hogan making an appearance on TV and have Shelton marking out for him in the back. Thank you for paving the way, brother. Hey, Fernando, what's going on? Fernando, I do a show over on JD's channel, JD from New York. We do a show every Tuesday night on his channel called Tuesday Night Titans, which is the biggest show in the community. We're doing episode 99 tomorrow night. Episode 100 is next week. It's going to be a big deal. Jeremy Rose, you think this Nikki return was bad? Wait till Brie mode returns. The horror. God, I swear, Liv better not job to Nikki clean. Well, if it turns into a tag team match, you don't think we're not getting new tag team champions if they do that match? Come on. You know the Bellas are going to have to get one run with them at least. Terrible Dry Chicken says Lyra Valkyria needs to give Becky Lynch a hawk tour in the face. What? We need Lyra to get down and dirty like a sneaker. The hell's wrong with you? Whatever happened to a Hawk Tua girl? Didn't she have her own podcast? I think it already failed, as many do. I think she called it Talk Tua. I think that's what she called it. I wouldn't be surprised if it's already done. She's what they call a flash in the pan. She had her 15 minutes of fame, and now it's over. Tonga Loa superfan. Is Tonga Loa the best kept secret in professional wrestling today? No. Dark Effect with a 50. Look at this guy. 50. My goodness. $50 bomb. She scammed a lot of people. How did she scam people? Oh, a coin. Of course. Probably some Bitcoin bullshit. Crypto scam. Typical. I'm not surprised. So now she's running away. She ran a crypto rug pull scheme and got caught. Dark Effect. What would your thoughts be on Ron the Truth against Gunther feud after the Goldberg match? Ron gets a serious run at the title. Maybe he doesn't win it, but we see Ron fighting for a title he never got a shot at. Go out on his terms. I don't think it has to be necessarily a SummerSlam match, but I mean, I wouldn't mind it. Work a little program with Gunther. Like you said, he doesn't have to win the championship. Make a run for it. It's all about the journey, man. It's about the story. I mean, there are some stories where you got to have that payoff at the end, but then there are just some stories where you just got to tell a good, coherent story. And sometimes whether or not that person is successful at the end is less important than the story itself. I feel like for someone like him, he doesn't necessarily need to win the championship, but just being in that position, I think it could work. Edwin says Knight will cost Bronson Reed his match next week. So he's going to cost all these guys their matches, and you don't think that they're not going to cost him his match? I mean, you may be right. He may cost Bronson Reed also. But he's definitely going to get fucked over for doing it. Bradley says, you called it, LA Knight moving to Raw, hopefully. Well, it hasn't happened yet. Let's not put the cart before the horse just yet, but that's the move that should be made. Sabu Steve's Wrestling History with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Sabu Steve. That'd be kind of funny if Sabu's name was Steve. Joanne Hill, which happens first? Carrying against Sami, Theory against Waller, or Jesus comes back? I think he will rise again before any of those other things happen. That's what I think. Robert the Captain Kaplinger. Can we get a Spooky Goulberg audio super chat? You already got one. That's the $40. I think it's the 41, right? It's the $40 super chat. It's right there. Check the description down below. All the special ones are down there. There is a Goulberg one. That's actually the very first time Goulberg was accidentally mentioned on TNT. I turned it into a super chat. I mean, how could I not? Yuri, LA Knight and Carrion are both being failed right now. LA should get a title run off how over he is, and Carrion is at the demanding more point. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you reach that point that's right before they get rid of you. Sabu Steve. Obviously, it's Cena versus Logan Paul at SummerSlam. Based off their disagreement in their tag match, I sure hope not. So I have no interest in seeing that match. Heel against heel, no less, huh? Yeah, good luck with that. Yuri, Solomonster sounds equals biggest Brie mode supporters. Aaron with another $50 bomb. LA Knight will lose again in King of the Ring. Newsflash to Triple H and WWE. He stayed over because he's good. He's shown he can be a top guy. The fans know it, but the company obviously doesn't for some reason. God forbid a guy gets over on his own. I'm amazed he's still as over as he is, in spite of the booking. I don't know how much longer that's going to last for. Yuri says he meant sound off fans. Yes, derpy internet lag didn't load the words. I knew what you meant though. It's all good. Bradley says these so-called finishers don't mean shit anymore. Is this a delayed super chat from 2011? Because this is nothing new. It'd be kind of funny if he sent a super chat in 10 years ago and only first came through now. What did you think of this U.S. title open challenge that Cena debuted tonight? What do you think of that, Solomonster? We got Scumdog 420. I love you, Solo. Thank you, Scumdog. Nick Grasso with Ace Austin leaving TNA. Does he go to AEW or WWE? Also, did you see Ric Flair's social media meltdown about how he's worth $3 million and how famous he is? LOL, he is an embarrassment these days. Yeah, I saw it. It's just sad. You know, that he feels the need to go around and gloat and brag. This is how much money I make. Well, he has to. I mean, he's got so much fucking alimony to pay. He's got to get that money from somewhere. Ace Austin, he's a talented guy. I don't really have a real lead on where I think he'll end up. I could see him in NXT. But I could see him in AEW. I guess it ultimately boils down to what his goals are. Like, where does he want to go? I would say NXT. But I don't know. That's right. Fernando says Solomonster is the real Solo. Darth Panic, channel member for 37 months. Mr. Iguana will be the mystery man. With Yeska, the iguana. Somebody mentioned there was a video package for him tonight. I think that was when I stepped away to go grab a snack. So I think I missed it. I'm very upset. Scumdog, I really want a bonus Be the Booker. Well, you got one. Once we get through these super chats, we have 2 rounds yet to go. We better run through these here. Alex Ochoa, remember, it's only a gore if he wins with it. Yuri, I tend to agree with you, but you should go, or you should do an I hate you solo clip super chat for when people disagree with you, just to trigger you mid-chat. I don't know. That's a dangerous idea. S. McPhee, so much for figuring out how CM Punk faces Cena. Why didn't we think, what if he just challenges him? Yeah, I love that. Like, just show up and, you know, Cena will just show up on Raw. Even though he's got the WWE Championship, and Punk will just challenge him, and that's it. Apparently he floats between shows. Big Hoss, Ricky Saints, 4th Man, IC Champ, Bronze Tag Champs, and Seth World Heavyweight Champion. Mariah May should go by Mariah May, M-A-E. Debut her with Becky in the group when she is called up. Becky and Mariah together? I could dig that. She'd be rubbing shoulders with one of the biggest names in the division from day one. I think that would be good for her. Bradley in the chat says, Iguana got a nice package. I was pleasantly surprised. What are you talking about, Bradley? Phrasing. Brandon Vasquez. With the $12 super chat. I live in the Phoenix area and went to the show. I was pleasantly surprised by how really good the show was. A heel Cena and CM Punk face-off. I never would have thought about this a couple of years ago. It did seem rather impossible. Yuri, if it's Ludwig, what's it do for him unless he wins? Gets him on television so people remember he's alive. That'd be a nice first step, just to get him involved, just to get him working again. Project Libertad. Mr. Iguana, Jey Uso, Joe Hendry, and Orange Cassidy form a stable. What do you call it? I would go with the Brain Rots. Mr. Iguana doesn't need any of these people. All Mr. Iguana needs is Yeska. Jeremy Rose, do you see Trick coming to the main roster by the end of the year? And if so, do you think him and Mello need to reunite? Well, Mello may need it. He'd be better off with Trick than Miz. I don't think they need each other. But if anything, Mello needs Trick more than Trick needs Mello. Do I see him on the main roster by the end of the year? No, I could see him in the Royal Rumble next year. Yuri says, I'm glad they let Truth be Ron Killings finally. His promo was solid. Hope they give him some real respect now. Thoughts on his booking going forward? I don't know. I've given it about as much thought as WWE probably has because this all came together so quickly. I just feel like, you know, just put him in a fairly prominent position on the show where you pick somebody for him to work with, somebody for him to feud with. That first feud I feel like is important for him to win. So, like, immediately putting him in there with Gunther. Like, you don't do that. So I haven't even really given him much thought, but like whatever they have him doing, I feel like whoever he works with, he should come out on top. We're so used to seeing Truth on these shows, and usually he's losing. His last 2 matches, that's how it went with Cena and JC Mateo. I think it's important, if you're trying to establish credibility for him, that he win. And maybe even win more than a few matches before you start talking about him against, Dom or Gunther or something like that. Death Scythe, Security Geek Death Scythe, reporting for duty. There we go. We got one geek. Glad to have you. Arabian Night, Triple H has fumbled Cross, Theory, Kaiser, Dunn, and Bate. I forgot about Bate. Didn't Bate come back? He came back for 1 match. We never saw him again. Fucking New Day is looking for tag team title challengers. What about Dunn and Bate? Havili. There's that big super chat, that big ass super chat from before that I read. The big boy, the big one of the night. Thank you again, Havili. Jay Shudo. I know JC Jane's NXT title run isn't supposed to last long, but what did you think of her brief promo last week before all of the interruptions? Thought it was okay. You mean before Mariah came out? It was okay. I mean, she's fine. She's solid, but she, I wouldn't have her as the NXT Women's Champion right now. Bate wrestled Cross on main event, so that had to be a win for Tyler Bate then. D-Zilla. Ludwig is carrying Tiffy's bags, but he goes home to Tiffy, so he wins overall. Can you even remember Raw was this good start to finish? No, not for a while. Most weeks there's stuff I like, there's stuff I really don't like, or I'm bored by. This is the first time in a long time where I felt like top to bottom, this was just a great show. Yeah, Bret Hart says this song is fire. This song is a banger. This song is called Hardline by Sandman. Julia Hart fan, 15 minutes. Killings versus Gable or Takeshita versus Miz? Killings and Gable. Arabian Night New Day says there's no competition. Could you see Usos against New Day? Whoa, what a step down for Jay that would be. They don't seem to have anything for Jimmy. Honestly, I mean, you know what? They may have no choice. Alex with the $25 super chat. Brother Solo, with the mixed reaction Cody has been getting, do you think Triple H has a plan B for him if the boos get audibly more noticeable and louder, potentially drown out the cheers? Well, we're not there yet. There's boos, but they're not drowning out the cheers. So I don't think he's got a plan B on standby. I think they'll kind of take it as it comes. So I'm not expecting a Cody heel turn anytime soon. It was noticeable tonight, though, when Punk made that comment about Cody is the best that we got. And you heard boos from that crowd. Mr. Ruby Dog, Orange Cassidy against Mr. Iguana, future WrestleMania main event. Retro KOH, long day, flea bath for cats, motorbike repair, ceiling repair, house cleaning, and it's only noon. I still got to work tonight. Glad to have you guys. That's a busy day. It's only noon. Where do you live? I thought you were in the States. Aaron, love your wrestling takes, but have a question. Seinfeld or Curb? I may know your answer, but can we all agree Larry is a goat of comedy? Also, congrats to Charles Mason. Santana will be a WWE World Champion one day. Santana will be a TNA World Champion very soon, unless his deal is coming up soon. Then he'll end up in WWE, but I still feel like Slammiversary should be a crowning moment for him. See, look at you guys. Fernando is enjoying his stay here. This is his first time, and he's really very impressed by this community. You haven't scared him away. Very happy to hear that. Seinfeld or Curb? Man, that's... You're making me pick between my two children there. I mean, it's from the mind of the same man, really, but... I love them both. Seinfeld is still number one. There's just so many memorable moments and memorable episodes, and those characters just work so well together, the chemistry they had. Seinfeld is still the answer, but I love Curb. Havili, back again. Oh, look at this. Death Sight gifted a channel membership. Look who ended up getting the channel membership. Holy shit. Fernando. And they're assigned randomly. Holy shit. Well, Fernando, it's been a hell of a first night for you, brother. You just got gifted a channel membership. That's good for 30 days. Enjoy. Patricia. I think Patricia is lurking. I think she's afraid to dip her toe in the water here, but she may be lurking. Shout out from Brisbane, Australia, says Havili. I met Nikki Bella turns on Brie at SummerSlam 2014 or Jimmy's turn on Jey at SummerSlam 2022. Yeah, you know what? Even in that context, I didn't really care for either one, so... There's a most likely match from War Games. Team Rock against Team Triple H. The winner controls WWE, or Team Punk against Team Rollins. I don't think it's going to be either one, but of the two, Team Punk against Team Rollins. Rock ain't going to be involved. Forget The Rock. Darth Panic, didn't Brie Bella knock Liv Morgan unconscious the last time she came? Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Oh my God. Yeah, she did. She knocked Liv Morgan unconscious, I think, in a match. Maybe they could work that into the angle. Oh my God, that horrible match. God, Brie was so bad in that match. Aaron, happy I made it tonight. Gonna miss the streams and especially the podcast later in the week. Yeah, it's just the one. I have a wedding to go to. Family member. So I'm driving up, it's in upstate. I'm driving up on Friday morning. And it's basically all weekend. Probably be back late Sunday. So SmackDown and the podcast are a no-go this weekend. And then we'll be back with the Raw review as normal the following Monday. So it really is just like a Friday and weekend thing. Aaron says, like I said last time I was here, I appreciate all you do. For me, you're the one constant. Best personality going since 2007. There aren't too many personalities in this space that have been going since 2007. There's a few, but not too many of them, so I appreciate that, though. You guys make this engine run, man. Again, you got me full time with this now. You know, we've left the PR job in the past now. We're full bore with this. So all your support is very much appreciated. Havili again. Why did we never get Lita and Becky Lynch against Trish Stratus and Zoe Stark? Lita and Becky against Trish and Zoe. Yeah, I thought Lita would come back. I guess they just had no other plans for Lita. I'm sure if they wanted her for a match, she would have done it. I guess they just didn't want her. Favorite wrestlers podcasts. Oh, okay. There's 3 separate questions here. Favorite wrestler podcast. I'm not really listening to any at the moment. I mean, I listen to a little bit of each when I can. I probably would go Cornette. I shake my fist. He's always the one that is preventing me from being in the number 1 spot. I was number 2 again today for yesterday's podcast, which is not a bad place to be. Number 2 in the wrestling space on all of Apple Podcasts. I'm not complaining, but and he says Stephanie Vicaire or Roxanne versus Io Sky at SummerSlam. Either one, man. I would love Stephanie and Io. You know, I'm okay if it's Roxanne, but Stephanie and Io would be fucking great. Duff's Vids. I bought some shoes from a drug dealer. Not sure what they were laced with, but I've been tripping all day. That's a return to form. I like that. That was better than the last one. Yuri, Ace Austin is one of those odd favorites recently. Don't think he'll become a major star, but he's mega talented. What was the TNA show that I saw a few months ago? It was, I think, the opening match. He had a really good match with Moose. He is very talented. Says, by the way, Mr. Iguana is great. He is. I hadn't seen him before Saturday. So this was my first exposure to Mr. Iguana. And I instantly became a fan. I could see it, honestly, I could see it as something where, you know, in 6 months, it's like, eh. But right now, I'm loving it. Duff's Vids, I lost my job at Pepsi last week. After so many years, I tested positive for Coke. Man, you're on a roll. Anime Prince just subscribed. Again, we passed 87,000 subs last week, so we begin the slow march now to 88K. Thank you, Anime. Welcome. Hydrograd. Do you think Worlds Collide will give AAA any kind of boost in their audience? Also, will you be watching Triple Mania in August? I will not. I believe the day of Triple Mania, I have another... It's not a wedding. I have some fucking event that day. I don't know. Everyone's doing stuff this summer. And it's eating into my work. If it's August 16th, I'm busy that day. I can tell you that. If it's not August 16th, I might be able to check it out. If it's August 16th, I can't do it. Worlds Collide will give AAA any kind of boost to their audience. I think so. It's hard to measure how big the boost will be, but I did see that between the English and Spanish YouTube streams, it did over 4 million views, which is very impressive. I mean, that's a level of exposure in this country that AAA has never had. So I don't see how it doesn't give them a boost. Retro KOH, Nick Khan. We don't bench people. Yeah, right. I love it. I love it. Aaron with a $10 super chat says, sending one more chat in case someone mistook my last one. I listen to every podcast and stream. You've been my goat since I was 11 years old. I'm 25 now. You're always my go-to for all wrestling. Wow. Aaron really is one of the OGs. That's from like the early years. Thank you, man. Can you believe in November, it's going to mark 18 years since the first episode of The Sound Off dropped? 18 years. Man. That means The Sound Off is going to be old enough to drive and vote this year. Very exciting. Fawaz. There's a name I haven't heard in a while. What's going on, Fawaz? Says, hi-oh. Been a while, missing chatting with you, buddy. Keep up the great work. I teared up when they announced Cena versus Punk because it's my favorite feud of all time, and I never thought Punk would come. That's right. You're probably going to go to the show. Although, I got an email from somebody, I mentioned this earlier, from Sultan, who lives in Riyadh, who claimed that after the Punk promo, he checked and all the tickets were sold out. So maybe you can double check on that for me, but it sounds like there's a lot of people very excited that he's coming over there for the first time. Tuxedo says Solo's voice. Solo's voice is going right now. Solo's voice in those early days was way different than it is now. Yeah, and then my balls dropped. That's why. Death Scythe. Thank you for that gifted membership to our friend Fernando Retro. To answer your last question, I'm from Chicago but live in Vietnam. That's why it's midday for me. Well, that would explain it. From Chicago and now in Vietnam. Wow. You know, the new Pope is from Chicago, but I believe he's lived somewhere in... Where's he lived for the last several years? It's somewhere in Central America or South America. I don't remember where. But he's a Chicago guy like you. Yuri with the $5 super chat. Oh, Havili says, yes, Triple Mania is August 16th. Of course it is. Of course it is. Naturally. Yuri says, wouldn't be shocked if they give Truth a title in this run as himself. Also, wouldn't be shocked they don't, but think it could happen. Mid-card especially. Yeah, like Intercontinental, I could see that. Him being the one to beat Dom. If not, like, or if they do it and he loses, what a missed opportunity to not do hair versus hair. And then when Truth loses, then he could have cut his hair. See, I'm always thinking about these hair versus hair stipulations whenever somebody shears their hair off. Oh, Peru. Okay, yeah, the Pope has lived in Peru for many years. Used to be in Peru. Death Scythe. What did Santa Claus see when he walked? Oh my God. He saw Gunther.
Jerry Lawler loves Gunther the Magnificent. All hail Gunther.
He saw Gunther, and then Gunther chopped him and beat his ass and took his place. M. Mills, thank you, with a $50 drop. No message. She's always just showing love and support. I love it. M. Mills, thank you very much. I officially think that I vote for Gunther to replace Santa Claus. Instead of giving little kids gifts, he gives them all a chop. He goes house to house just chopping kids. Especially the ones that have been naughty. But Death Scythe says, what did Santa Claus see when he walked into a strip club? A lot of ho-ho-hos. Fernando says, does Solo like baseball? If so, what's your team? My team is the Mets. Anybody who watches the streams knows that I'm a Mets guy. I've been through a lot of pain in my day. We're doing well so far this season, but I've had to observe a lot of very pitiful shit over the years. A lot of heartbreak. But they're my team. Alex says, if you ever interview Hogan, what would the first question that you would ask him be? I wouldn't interview Hogan, so you don't have to worry about that. Yuri says, we're getting old, buddy. Been with you since 2011. You like the Stevie Richards podcast? He has shouted you out. Yeah, I've checked out Stevie before. I got a lot of people telling me when he mentions me every now and then, which is very cool. I used to also follow Stevie's stuff. I don't know if he still does. He had a like a tech podcast, and I would check out some of his tech videos. Stevie's cool. That's why he used to be Big Stevie Cool. M. Mills, thank you again. And Yuri, be honest. HOG or Raw? I gotta go HOG. You think I'm gonna give Adam Pearce the satisfaction? I'm the commissioner, for crying out loud. I'm not gonna vote for the other guys. By the way, that match with Santana and Ishii, the HOG World Championship, which is why I missed Money in the Bank and I wasn't live on Saturday. I was at the arena doing commentary. That match is up for free in full right now on the House of Glory Wrestling YouTube channel. It went up earlier today, or maybe yesterday, but the full match is up, including the aftermath where I crashed out at the very end. So you can go check that out. And if you've never checked out a House of Glory match, you could check that one out. There's some other great ones up there. The Mercedes match with Indy Hartwell, we put that one up on the channel some time ago. But yeah, that one is up right now if you didn't see it. And so Yuri, that is the last super chat. Man, you guys killed it tonight. And you killed it on the likes. We're getting close to 700 likes. So let's get that up. Let's see if we can get 700 before we leave here. But we're not going anywhere yet. You know why? Because we do a little thing. And Fernando, this is going to be new to you. We do a little segment here that I came up with a number of years ago. You won't find it anywhere else. It's called Be the Booker. And we're doing 2 rounds of it tonight because you guys killed the goals. So let's go do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the Booker.
We got some new eyes here on Be the Booker tonight. This is going to be very exciting. So we usually start with the tag teams. And what you see here, this is a randomizer. And there are dozens of tag teams in here. I've put all of this together. We'll do a women's match. We do a main event match. Sometimes we do stipulations. And it's just completely random. And we just see what we land on and we see what matches we book. Can we book a better card than the actual companies that we watch? I don't know. Let's find out. We begin with the Street Profits. They are the current WWE Tag Team Champions. Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. Kicking us off here in Be the Booker. And they're going to be taking on, call them LAX, call them Proud and Powerful. They're a great tag team. Mike Santana and Ortiz. What do you think about that? LAX and the Street Profits. That would have been a great one. It would have been. But it can't be now. Santana's doing the singles thing. If Solomonster was ever in the Be the Booker tag division, who would his partner be? I'll leave that up to you. We got to book a women's match now. Willow Nightingale. I love Willow. Willow's great. Willow's awesome. Willow re-signed with AEW about a month ago or so she's not going nowhere. Willow Nightingale. Who will Willow Nightingale be stepping into the ring with? Roso, my God. You know, we got Evolution coming up next month. Do you think, if they have like a battle royal or something, do you think we might see Rosa Mendez on the Evolution show? Oh my God. Well, that was a fail. So now we come to our main event, our first one, because we're doing one more round after this. Let's see what our main event is here. Well, how about this? Look who it is, everybody. It is Mike Santana. Where he belongs. He was in the main event on NXT last week. He was in the main event of HOG on Saturday, and now he's in the main event of B2B. Be the Booker. Let's get a drum roll. Who will it be? Who will it be? Mike Santana against Ryback. I'm sorry, Mike. I'm sorry, Mike. I'm sorry. Fernando, yes, I do commentary for House of Glory. I am the commissioner and I am one of the commentators for HOG. So if you've heard my voice before, that would be why. I wear many hats, although I don't have a hat as cool as the one Ryback is wearing here in this photo. I don't have a Ryback beanie. Santana can make it work. I'm not doubting that he can make it work. It's just not a main event I care to see. So that's why I gave it the buzzer. 1 for 3 is a terrible average for Be the Booker here. It's a good thing you guys unlocked a second round. So here's what we're going to do. He's not coming back to Hog now. Yeah. He lost. He got buzzed and Be the Booker, so that's it. Santana's getting on the phone to the promoter right now. I can't come back. I'm sorry. All right, so round 2, what we're going to do is pick stipulations now for all 3 matches that we book. And our first stipulation is going to be a bull rope match. Okay. All right. A Dusty special. We're booking a bull rope match, everybody. I need a Solomonster beanie. Yeah, if they offered them on Pro Wrestling Tees, I already have a store on there. I would just sell them through there, but I don't think I can get hats. All right, bull rope match. You know what? Let's do the women's match. We'll make the women's match a bull rope match. How about that? Has there ever been a women's bull rope match? I'm not aware of there ever being a women's bull rope match. Well, we're going to change that right now. And Lita is going to make history because Lita is going to be one half of the very first women's bull rope match. And it will be against Zarya. Lita and Zarya in a bull rope match. Zarya Delta, it's her former name. Call her whatever you want. That's a good one. All right, what's our tag team stipulation going to be? Round and around it goes. I'm very curious to see where this is going to land now. A hardcore match. All right. Tag team hardcore match. We've had those before. That works. The Ultimate Maniacs, Ultimate Warrior, and the Macho Man Randy Savage. This team didn't last very long, did they? They were supposed to make it to Survivor Series in '92. They didn't make it. Only one of them made it. Savage needed a new partner. Oh my God, Savage and the Warrior in a hardcore tag team match? Against Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker. Macho Man and the Warrior against Austin and The Undertaker. I'm giving that 2 bells. Fuck yeah. Anything goes. Hardcore, no disqualification. Undertaker and Warrior have had matches before. It was a long time ago, though. Hell yeah, man. Now that's a marquee match right there. And now our main event is going to be a Firefly Funhouse match. Oh boy. Firefly Funhouse. This is going to be very interesting. Brian says this is better than any WrestleMania. I'm going to make a prediction right now. The main event that we are about to book, even though it's a Firefly Funhouse match, is going to be better than the actual WrestleMania Night 2 main event that we had this year. I'm making this early, bold prediction here. The Undertaker in a Firefly Funhouse. It's Purple Glove Undertaker in a Firefly Funhouse match. And no barbed wire this time. Oh my God. The Undertaker against Orange Cassidy in a Firefly Funhouse match. How can I not bell that? How can I not bell that? Is that a clean sweep? I think it was. I believe that. I almost forgot. I think that was a clean sweep. Undertaker and Orange Cassidy. What the hell would that look like? That's why I gave it the bell. Like, I'm so intrigued. So after going 1 for 3 in the first round, we redeemed ourselves with a clean sweep in round number 2. See, so it all ended okay. It's not about how you start. It's how you finish. You know it's a good night when you hear the sonic sweep. We had a few more super chats come in here because you guys want to keep me around. You like me that much, huh? Duff's Vids. Do you think that AAA will get a streaming or TV deal this or next year, or just stay on YouTube? Thank you, Solo, for all the hard work that you do for us. Thank you, Duff. So thank you for all the support. I mean, it's too early to know, but I think if they keep, if they do more streaming specials on you, and I think it was very smart to put that first one for free on YouTube and give it maximum exposure. I think that was very smart. Maybe they do a couple more of those, and I think that if they get a streaming deal, I could see that next year. I think it's too early, but I could definitely see something by next year. I think there's a market for it, and I think you just need proof of concept, you know, in this country. And I think if they can demonstrate that there's an audience for it, like in the millions, that somebody will want to do business with them and that something will come out of it. I don't think it's going to happen in the next 6 months, though. OM2 cool. Worlds Collide proved that Corey Graves is better than Pat McAfee. Well, we already knew that. Corey is very good. I'm glad he got the opportunity. AAA is on Pluto. That's right. I forgot about that. They still have a dedicated channel on there? I mean, when we talk streaming services, though, we're talking something a little bit bigger and a little more, like you don't hear too much about AAA on Pluto. So something the WWE could actually make some real money on. That's different than Pluto. I love Pluto. Pluto TV is great. I downloaded Pluto TV a long time ago. I watch it every single day. There's certain channels I have saved. I mean, they have individual channels for individual shows. They have a Bob Ross channel. I have that on my favorites list. I'll fall asleep to Bob Ross painting at night. It's fucking great. They have a Price is Right channel. They have a fucking Matlock channel. They got anything you need, baby. It's on Pluto. But I think we can aim for something a little bit bigger than that. Yuri says Street Profits against LAX would be top tier. Also is a Long Island soul. Willow is a golden egg for Be the Booker, though Rosa was a toxic pill. There are some poison pills in there. Do I have regular cable? I cut the cable cord 5 years ago when they wanted to jack my bill up over $300 a month. I said, fuck you, goodbye. Thank you, fuck you, bye, is what I said. And I am on YouTube TV. And even though they jack up their prices, it feels like every year, I'm still not paying what I would have been paying on cable. And it's a lot better, too. You know, with my cable company, you were... if you weren't home on your home Wi-Fi network, you couldn't watch with something like YouTube TV. As long as you have a connection, you can watch it from anywhere, which is very convenient. Havili says, this is supposed to be Trish Stratus's 25th anniversary, and she only had one match at Elimination Chamber. Any chance of getting her at Evolution? Yeah, I think this is probably a very good chance of her being at Evolution. But, the Elimination Chamber thing was them being in Toronto. They were in her hometown, so it made sense. Yuri says, Solomonster beanies incoming. HOG beanies. I make no promises. And Fawaz. It's sold out. Very hyped. Unfortunately, man, no sign this time. I argued with them last time because I showed the sign many times, and I'm not regretting it one bit, but it was a pleasure supporting the best. Yeah, Fawaz, many, many times. Fawaz is the one who got the sound off sign at many of those Saudi shows, visible on the hard camera on TV. He was the guy. So I think they've cut down on that now, so we may not see that anymore, but he was always representing the sound off on those Saudi shows. Like, you didn't see anything for any other podcasts. Just the sound off logo, boom, right there on the sign. So I will forever be grateful for that. That's awesome. But one day, if you ever want to sneak one in, maybe get it again, that'd be pretty cool. I'm just saying. But thank you, brother. Did I watch the American Dad episode with Bret Hart? No, I didn't. No, I did not. I'm just looking at the chat. So anyway, here's the schedule. Obviously, tomorrow night, Tuesday night, I'll be over on JD's channel, Tuesday Night Titans, episode 99. Much to discuss coming out of this weekend. And tonight, we'll talk about all the news of the week. Wednesday night after Dynamite. Now, okay, so here's what we're going to do. Dynamite is 4 hours again this week. Dynamite and Collision. They're doing 4 hours back to back. My current plan is to do what I did last week. And I think it worked out fine that way, where I go live my normal time. So around 10:30, 10:40, 10:30-ish. About half an hour after Dynamite ends, I'll be live on YouTube. The second show is usually Collision. I don't give a shit. So I'll probably be live normal time Wednesday night. We'll talk Dynamite. It's the summer blockbuster. They have Swerve Strickland against Will Ospreay. That's supposed to be the main event. So that is when you will find me live on this channel next. Usually I'm live on Fridays after SmackDown, but that won't be the case this week. So just be aware of that. But if you missed episode 916 of the Sound Off, man, that was probably the longest Sound Off I've done in a while. Go check it out. It went up later in the day yesterday because it took me all day. I had to catch up with Worlds Collide first, eat something real quick, do the show. It was the whole day. It was the whole day. So I got a lot of really good feedback, which made me feel better. So if you didn't see it, if you didn't listen to it, go check it out. And all the other content here on the channel. There'll be the Dark Side of the Ring review on the season finale on Muhammad Hassan. That is going up on the channel tomorrow during the day. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Final Super Chats. The Mount Vernon Kid. I chose YouTube TV because of you, Solo. Well, I hope you're happy with your choice. We got Bat Seed, $9.99. The likelihood of a top babyface having a long title reign without the crowd going stale and maintaining their initial popularity resulting in boos instead. You're asking a question? I think it's possible. I think a lot of it depends on the popularity of the babyface. If you had like a Steve Austin level babyface, where that person connects with the audience in just a very unique way. Austin, to a lot of people, Austin was like the everyman. He was anti-authority, in your face, didn't give a shit. People just related to him in a way that they don't relate to someone necessarily like Cody or like Diesel, you know, or even Brett or Shawn Michaels, the pretty boy. You know what I mean? Like, it depends on the kind of babyface. And then I think that person could get over and could stay over for a long time without the crowd turning on them. You know, part of it is just you don't want the perception that they're being shoved down your throat. You don't want the perception like, okay, this guy's the chosen one. He's the corporate one, right? Because then people just get sick of it. They turn against it. Cody went almost the full year as champion, and the fans really never turned on him. But only in the last few months do you really start to hear those boos. How bad it gets, I don't know. We'll see. You know, he still has the majority of the fan support. But I wouldn't say that any babyface is invariably going to have the crowd turn against them. Some people are just able to form a connection with the audience that's special, and they think they're genuine or they're cool or whatever it is, and they can get over and stay over for a very long time. I don't think it's true that everybody, eventually the crowd will turn against you no matter what. I don't buy that. Yuri says, Devil's Advocate, Mike Santana or Jacob Fatu? Both former HOG champions, by the way. Just had to point that out. I don't know what you're asking. Is it like who has the higher ceiling, or? I think they're both going to do well. I think Fatu will probably end up higher. Maybe he'll just get the opportunities to go higher because, I mean, he's already more well established. I mean, Santana's not even in WWE right now. So in terms of that, I would go Fatu, but I mean, I like them both, and I think both of them are going to be very successful. You know, both of them are very talented, very driven people who, you know, if they want something, then they'll get it. You know, and I think the crowd will get behind them and they'll do well. And Darth Panic, will we ever get another members only watch along? Yeah, probably. I haven't done a watch along in a while. That's one of the things on my list. I have a lot of things on my list, but yeah, we'll get back to that. I have other ideas too. Anyway, thank you guys. It's been a long, fun stream after what I thought was probably the best Raw of the year. Leave a comment, leave a like, share it with other people. Let's get this review in the algorithm. Let's spread the love. I will see you tomorrow night for TNT and back here on this channel live after Dynamite on Wednesday night. So Fernando and Duff's Vids and Darth Panic and Aaron and M Mills and Fire Panda and everybody, thank you all for all the support tonight. Be well, stay safe, and I will see you back here for more Sound Off very soon live on YouTube. Until then, take care, guys.
Hand on the wheel, got my pistons pumping.
Leopoldo coming in with that $30 Mentos. You think I was going to miss out on that? Thank you, brother. Bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back. We have to read his super chat. Now that I got the last super chat and the latest super chat in Sound Off history out of the way, in all seriousness, congrats on 87,000 Solo. I usually try to come up with something mildly amusing to say, but tonight, just love and gratitude. Good night, Solo. Good night, Leopoldo. And thank you. I always love getting that Mentos there. At the very end of the stream, you pop a Mentos. There ain't nothing better. Thank you, brother. Post-credit scene? You don't get Samuel L. Jackson. You get me. I guess I'm the next best thing. I'll see you Wednesday night.